Humans are not that against lizard women. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go try to explain this. You know what you're getting into, right? Oh, is this like sex the furry titty and furry shades of gay stuff? Timeline? In the murky depths of history, where even the chroniclers draw a blank, nestled along the shores of mighty Lake Baikal, thrived the Slavs. His face. Robust and strikingly beautiful, they defied the passage of centuries, untouched by disease. Their offspring, adorned with lustrous blood locks and piercing blue eyes, sprang forth and eagerly took to the fields mere hours after birth. Blessed by the mystical waters of Lake Baikal, the Slavs owed their vigor to its enchanted essence, as sweet as molasses. Thus they dwelled in their own Hyperborean utopia, free from worldly woes, until one fateful day when the heavens unfurled, and lo and behold, the eerie critters, the lizards, descended from the sky. The lizards launched assaults on Slavic villages, laying waste to cities and fields, plundering trade routes to Africa and Asia. The war dragged on relentlessly, claiming countless lives of men and women alike. The Slavs found themselves on the brink of defeat at the hands of the lizards. Enslavement by these foreign monsters seemed imminent. Yet, in their darkest hour, the wise men convened and beseeched Perun for salvation to safeguard the sacred Slavic lands. And Perun thundered his response, "Go get 'em, boys, screw them up." Invigorated by such wisdom, the Slavs charged forth. A glorious battle ensued on the banks of the river Kal, as the Slavs relentlessly pushed the lizard folk back, all the way through the Caspian Sea to the depths of Atlantis. And in the aftermath of said battle, Perun cast a chilling curse upon the invaders. While the frost merely tingled the Slavs' cheeks, the lizards struggled, succumbing to hibernation, vanishing for the time being. As time passed, the memory of the lizards faded from Slavic minds, relegated to mere fairy tales, spooky stories spun to frighten children. But Perun's curse proved temporary. With the fire embrace of Yarilo the sun, the glacier melted, and the lizards stirred from their slumber. Waking to find the Slavs flourishing, expanding their territories, and fortifying their frames both literally and figuratively. Driven by envy, the lizards yearned to conquer the Slavs, eager to claim the secrets of the marvelous Baikal water and the fertile lands to rear the reptilian offspring. However, they faced a formidable obstacle. And thus our tale begins. The saga of the bogatyr and the warrior, the widow and the four-eyed scholar. And here we come across our first not safe for work scene. So this will be cut out of YouTube. If you want to watch the not safe for work scenes, they will be available on my Patreon. And thus they have advanced. Vian's division of heavy riding Varans is approaching the Slavic lands. Vianti's at the head of the squad. Her black Varan is larger and meaner than the others, and the sun plays merrily on its armor. Only Vianti herself isn't having much fun. She looks at her companion with a sour face. Yes, it's definitely a male, and he's definitely not her type at all. Isn't even fit to devour, and that's how unappealing he is. He appears weak. Vianti is confident she could knock him over with a mere glance. And these glasses of his? Are you kidding me? His name is Mouses. He doesn't even know how to ride a Varan. Can we go slower? We can. The division moves at the same pace, and Mouses, nearly flying out of the saddle once more, casts a panicked glance at Vianti. But we won't. You can ride in someone's arms if you can find someone who agrees to that. The warriors behind Vante chuckled mockingly. But I know the Supreme Mother ordered you to protect me. Because my research is important. Vante shrugged. Yes, that was the way it was, but so far Mouses are nothing more than a nuisance. You should ride in the cargo cart. It's the perfect place for someone like you. Most of the stuff in there is yours anyway. But... Taking it as a command, his Varon speeds up. Oh, good girl. Please, please slow down. A snide comes from behind him. Take care of your ass. The warriors are audibly laughing. It's a gelding, you fool. No one in their right mind would entrust you with a female. She'd eat you alive. Praying to the mathematics, this will be over soon. Mouses shrinks in the saddle, trying to hide from the laughter around him. Adventuring is not for him, especially in a company as such. It does not resemble any of the Plains and People campaigns he played. Don't even think about getting lost. We'll leave you to the Slavs. They'll make lacti out of you. Lapti. It's pronounced lapti, and they're made of bark. Shut it, smartass. Laughter raises again, and a comment, somebody should sit on his face and end him already. They're all so mean to him. Mouses turns around nervously, trying to see which of the warriors is about to assault his innocence. I'd rather sit on a log. I'd feel more. She tugged the reins of her monitor and moves it forward, leaving the troop just behind. Mouse is even more uncomfortable with the hail of jokes he's getting. All these strange, incomprehensible innuendos are unnerving. Meanwhile, life goes its course in the Slavic village. Father Bakel softly hums as warriors gather for their war games. Girls walk towards the river, Stegosaurus grazing beside the fence, and children lunge stringed pterodactyls from the roofs. All is calm. Don't go too far, boys. The lizards will take you. Maybe. The group of children start laughing, all fair, ruddy, and blonde. Miloslava sighs as she adjusts the carrying pole on her shoulder. The children laugh at her warning. Indeed, Slavs have defeated the lizards a long time ago. Not even a single lizard folk scale has been found here since the Great Winter. One boy isn't laughing, though. Why? Just why? Zidane is what I'm going to call it, even though it's clearly not how you spell Zidane. Zidane is his name. Just yesterday he yelled about seeing lizards on the other side of the river. But nobody cares about that. Zidane imagines seeing them as often as every week. The children laugh it off and run away towards the field. Miloslava is suddenly tugged by the hem of her dress. No, Mirka, spit it out. Mirka phlegmatically chews the hem of her sundress, caught in her mouth along with a bunch of dandelions. Nice mount. Nice quote-unquote cow. Gay day, sister. You don't need any help, do you? Gay day, Redibor. Can't you tear my hem out of her mouth, eh? What? Are we Canadian now? Still putting everything in her mouth all the time, isn't she? Redibor easily pulls Mirka away by her thick, scaly tail. A warrior's a warrior. Moving Stegosaurus, fighting fires, all in his own good way. Are you not afraid of walking alone? Miloslava shrugs, and the sundress on her chest tightens. What's there to be afraid of? Besides, if somebody tries anything, I'll just hit them with my pole, right between the eyes. Or Mirka will get them. She'll chew anything up, if only slowly. Mirka's just starting to munch on the neighbor's waddle with an appetizing crunch. And I can't just sit around too. Market needs to graze, and the water needs to be collected. You need a man, sister, and a good one. Meaning you, huh? You could be my son at your age. Another Mudroslav. I don't want anyone. His talks about the birds and the bees, it was so engaging. Yeah, may you rest in peace, sister. And where are you going? The band is going for a hunt. I went out early. Needed to harness Stavroslav. Why is everything Slav? Well, you keep your eyes open. The kids say they saw lizards on the other side of the river. Oh, lizards. I'm with a band. Nothing will happen. We'll play the music until they run away. Miloslava laughs, making her breasts almost tear her sundress. Redivor stares at them like a marvel. Well, you should go. Or they'll leave without you, leaving you alone in the field. I just wanted to make you laugh a little bit more. So her breasts would jiggle. He's waiting for them to, like, come out of their dress. Suddenly a thunderous yell is heard. It's Vidaris calling me. Well, see you later, sister. Miloslava only watches him go and sighs. Radibor is such a nice guy, but he's too young. His head is full of nothing. He is not Mudroslav, not at all. In the meantime, there were two ways before Radibor. Either to go straight to the forest, or to his friends, who were waving at him from the lake. And the way they were waving. What's that? Suspicious. Have they found something? Aha. Quite a bit different from the usual icons I'm used to seeing. But, same concept. So there are more routes to take than just one. Okay, I like that. I thought it was just one. Which I thought was a little bit odd to have just one full route, but, you know. Let's go to the lake. To the lake to check out the commotion. Redivor's feet carry him towards the lake, as if Pirum himself guides him there. Gay day, Redivor. Took you long enough. Always the tardiest of the party. I just stumbled on Miloslava on my way here. Ah, well, is that so? She's a good woman. Think you getting married? Come on, brother. She's old enough to be my mom. Only 'cause she said so. Besides, I need a sturdier one. The one who can stop a galloping horse. The one who can enter into a burning hut. A match for me in battle. A warrior. And with a whip, right? Why the whip? You'll find out when you're older. Dude, how old is he? Radaris winks and suddenly presses his finger to his lips. Quiet, he says. The other warriors are already huddled in the bushes, quieter than water, lower than grass. With a scream, Dolboslav falls out of the bushes right into the water. The girls with a shriek scattering for their shirts. You oaf. Creeper! We'll tell Vidaris all about you. The girls run away, leaving only ringing laughter in their wake. Spoiled all the fun. What an idiot. Gone without even taking their shirts. It's not my fault. I fell. If you didn't, I'd push you myself just for spoiling everything. The warriors laugh it off, then proceed to the woods to have their war games. And so the warriors gathered in the woods to compare their strengths, and maybe their clubs too. Gay day, good men. We'll fight today on foot and unarmed. Look at how lazy you become. If this goes on, you'll only be good for lying around on the stove and eating pancakes all day long. You should always be ready, as our father Perun willed. The army band with the indignant cries. You better trust us, they mean. Our clubs are strong and our bodies are sturdy. And what should we be ready for, brother, Vidaris? It's a quiet life. The pitch and eggs haven't been invented yet. Yeah, unless we fight with Nayaz and his band. Compete in valor and strength. Some of these words, obviously letters are silent. But it's like, okay, it's a fantasy setting. Sure, and fantasy characters have weird names, but Knyaz. Compete and compare. That's all you can think about. Ha. Trust me, if the lizards come, what will they see? Us hiding about our huts, settling our women? That's all Grandma's fairy tales. Nobody's seen those lizards in, like, forever. He became a valet girl now. You never know when these bastards might return. It's better to be ready for things that won't happen than be caught off guard by things that will. Vidaris raises his finger in an instructed manner. The men marveled at the ruler's wisdom and listened. So shut up, you brats. If not lizards, maybe the pitch and eggs will be invented soon. Or some other bullshit. So get your knuckles out of your asses and raise them to fight. Oh, and off with your shirts too. Warriors, some laughing, some grumbling, split into two teams. They take off their shirts and start flexing at each other, braggingly. Is this how they play their war games? Just like, who's got the most muscles? Who's got the biggest dick? Vidaris sits down on a stump and, scratching his beard, keeps an eye on the ranks to make sure no one gets too far as to actually murder somebody. Redibor, having defeated Dolboslav, comes up to him, sweaty and ready, and sits down beside him. So how much do you know about lizards, uncle? More than you. Some scary beasts they are. Their women are crazy, all carrying swords, flashing with their scales, and tits too. Ka. Lizard with tits? What do they even need them for? I heard their goddess or something gave each woman a pair to distract her men. A cynologic attack it's called. You don't even know such words, I bet. That's just crazy talk. Crazy, huh? As my grandfather used to say. A fool he was, your grandfather. Let's finish this up and go celebrate. Bragan woman, that's all we need after a long day, right? Vidaris spits angrily into the grass. All you want to do is to drink liquor and harass girls. A serious warrior should be sober and always on the lookout. Oh, come on, uncle. Can't we have a cup of mead at the end of the 5th weekday? Other warriors agree. Perun himself said to drink mead on Fridays. And if you love girls who've had enough mead already, what kind of life would it be for a Slav if he couldn't have these things? Meanwhile, in the lizard's camp, the preparations are being made. Nanofiber tents flutter slightly in the wind. Lizard workers set up grills and build fires. Warrior women polish their spears. Viente rests in a camping chair with her head leaning back, relaxed. What do we even need that backwater hamlet for? We could have hit something more important. It'd only take a day at most. We'll waste more time on our trip here and back with all these logistical regulations. Start from the center, I say. That is all it would take. It was going so well before their barbaric ice magic hit us. Well, maybe. She cuts herself off. One can't always tell if the mother watches and listens. and Viente herself isn't so sure of her ideas. Fine. The Supreme Mother is smarter than me, isn't she? I'm sure she knows better. And if this weakling really can sell the formulas of the magic water, and the idol will help us reproduce faster, then Slavs will have nothing to oppose us with. Viente smiles and beckons the nearest servant to bring her dinner. It's about time she got some refreshment. The servant bows gingerly and runs off in the direction of the camp kitchen. Viente had managed to turn almost everyone in the camp somewhat hostile to her with her endless nitpicking. Now the whole camp is trying to stay away from her, tensely wondering what she might be up to next. She doesn't give a damn. A servant finally brings her a tray decorated with various formulas, then hurriedly disappears in an unknown direction before Viente can order anything else. Fine, what do we have? Some seaweed, a strange powdered puree, a couple of whole roasted creatures, and some local vegetables. Curiously shaped ones, too. Viente licked her lips. The creatures, whatever they were, disappeared into her mouth with an appetizing crunch so fast she barely had time to taste them. Viente didn't even realize how hungry she was. Puree and seaweed got a little more attention. Her initial hunger was already satisfied to a degree, after all. Familiar food, albeit a little boring. That leaves only vegetables, rather mysteriously shaped. Why, the eggplants? Cucumbers? Is it an appetizer? Dessert? A main course? The only thing Viente knows for sure is that these things remind her of something very pleasant. Sturdy, oblong, and such a lovely color of the lizard flesh. Maybe cucumbers then. Quickly finishing the last bite, she sighs heavily. Fatigue is what she's feeling right now, tired and annoyed. She could spend the rest of the day in the chair under the awning. Nobody would protest against it, considering her rank. Still. She can't show weakness to others. No way. While others fool around, she must stay on her guard. Putting the tray aside, Viente stands up and slowly stretches. It's nice to feel like a taut string for a moment, or a blade ready for a deadly strike. She raises her arms, looking contentedly at her reflection in the tray. Tense, taut muscles, breasts lifted by the movement, threatening and seductive. Viente moves, repeating the curves of the combat function charts, and this little exercise makes the fatigue slightly recede. And that's much better. She smiles, her blood warmed by the exercise lifting her spirits slightly. I guess Mother really does know what's more important here. Even that ridiculous puny male. Maybe he really will figure out the secret of the Baikal water. Viente freezes mid-thought. Puny. By the way, where's the puny one? No matter what she told him, she couldn't let herself lose sight of him. He is an important part of Mother's plan. She'd have to find him, and probably get him out of trouble. Holy Mother Mathematics, where has he gone off to? Uh-oh. Mushrooms. Ooh, that's nice. We seem to get a lot more turns than with the furry shades and furry titty games. In the open fields. Vita decides to go look for Malthus in the fields, so she heads towards a gap between the trees. Bikel, somewhere in that direction. Maybe the brat got carried away with his research disregarding the dangers. They are in the very depths of Slavic lands. She can only guess what these warm-blooded barbarians do with prisoners. Do they eat them? Make clothes out of them? Or maybe scarecrows to frighten children? This was what her people were talking about before the glacier hit, at least. Maybe they feed prisoners to their hairy monsters. What were they called? Cows? Cows? Well, who cares what they call them? Something that's gonna eat you. She picks her way through the weeds until she comes to the edge of the field. Huge, endless, lit by the setting sun. Vita freezes looking at it. Such vastness. So much land. And what is that? Vita probably ducks and takes a step back. Milka, why are you yelling? Lizard, they're in the bushes. What a monster. And with fiery eyes, too. Lizard, what are you talking about? That's crazy. I saw it. A scary lizard with gold tits. It's called plated armor, okay? The female burst into tears. My dad's working on something. There was a moment of silence there, I apologize. The female bursts into tears. Vita manages to escape unnoticed amidst the noise. The male does not seem to believe the story, thanks to mathematics. She steps back far enough, but there is still sobbing and swearing coming from the bushes. The lizard is there! The lizard! If you don't want to do it, just say it. Yeah, I don't know what my dad is doing. Leg was on Vienti's side. The male didn't notice her. You just sit there. Hide away, don't eye anyone, and maybe you'll survive. I wasn't eyeing anyone or anything. I was just sitting there. And exuded the pheromones of not getting laid. Yes. As soon as we clear the way, we'll get you to Baikal, but in the meantime, keep a low profile, don't get in trouble, and don't stink. Malthus doesn't even know how to respond to that. He's both embarrassed and offended, and he's pretty sure he didn't provoke anyone. On the other hand, trying to explain it to Vienti would be taxing. He'd just end up getting reprimanded again. You can prepare your vials or whatever you want, but always be in the plain sight. Okay. He doesn't even try to explain to Vienti that his lab isn't about any vials. He already tried that a couple dozens of times. She just doesn't seem to care what he's saying. None of the warriors want to listen to him, not counting Alakinshi, and it would be for the best if she didn't either. He was already regretting trying to explain anything to her about his research. She seemed genuinely interested in listening, but it seemed like she just wanted to bushwhack him the whole time. Vienti had already stepped aside and gathered the lower-ranked warriors. It looked like something was brewing. Listen to my command. The warriors lined up in a triangle, fall silent and stare at her, tails wagging slightly in curiosity. The Slavs are closer than we thought, and there are many of them here. We move at dawn. Everybody, check your thermal armor bras. I don't want any of you to pass out from the cold during the attack. But is it wise to attack now? They're having some kind of celebration. Everyone will be tired. Their meals will be hungover. So yes, it would be wise. Especially considering we'll have a rest and they won't. The female warriors murmur approvingly, and Alakinshi is unhappily silenced. Vienti is careful not to show her subordinates how nervous she is. It's been quite a while since they've done all that, raiding and fighting. A long time indeed. The next morning might be a rough one. Alright, bring down the alcoholic bottles or clear all. I don't know. For Viente. Viente's division is quietly moving through an already deserted field. Not even an army, not even a battle. Just a little reconnaissance. Everything should be fine, so Viente reassures herself. It had indeed been quite some time since she had last been in a real fight. Just as she had suspected, the careless, warm-blooded barbarians got drunk with their stupefying slurry and are now lying about easy prey. Howling comes from the roadside ditch. Did the Slavs put out lying sentries? A tetrapod stealed. What? Moves across the field. Take me away, completely. Is someone talking? No, apparently it's just a drunken Slav singing his barbaric songs. Okay. The closer they got to the village, the more they encountered these singing ditches. Oh, not in vain, even before Glacier, the cunning Great Mother, had begun sabotaging the Slavs. The great alcoholic invasion. And now it gives fruit. We are Slavs. The whole world is spiteful. Oh, Petal, Lucky, how the fuck is it going to go on? The shaman has 3 titties. No, asshole. Not that. It's all wrong. Look, their males are also interested in poetry now. Lucky us. Our warriors chuckle quietly. If Mouses were here, he'd say something like, the alcohol's anti-structure clearly neutralizes the effect of bical water. Thanks to mathematics, he's not here. The division gets to the village without any resistance whatsoever, and starts splitting into teams. One group for each big gate, one to cover the retreat, and a strike team led by Viente herself. Most of the Slavs had sprawled into their dwellings just before dawn. Now some of them were staring out the windows in horror, but... Matriona lizards. Green ones, with tits. You've got green lizards with tits running around the walls every villa's day. You should drink less, you bastard. Little by little, the Slavs begin to realize that it is no hallucination, and they are being attacked by their long-forgotten enemies. The hungover village shrieks, cracking under the paws and tails on the monitors here and clucking with the voices of chickens and pterodactyls forced out of their paddocks there. The paralyzing quantum spears of the warriors pierce without missing. Vienti's pleased. They'll need a lot of warm-blooded people to experiment with the water, and they can interrogate someone about the idol's whereabouts. It's odd that there are so few males. The Supreme Mother said they were better suited for experiments. But the idol. They need the idol first. Look for a building that stands out. Something like that. With ribbons, spires, domes, and all. The idol's probably in there. But just to be on the safe side, search all the dwellings. And what you've already searched, set it on fire to avoid confusion. The strike team salutes and scatters to search the huts. The not yet paralyzed females howl and secrete gross fluids from their faces. Ew. Oh, they're crying. I was thinking the lizard folk were doing that. But the lizards are deaf to their pleas. Vienti spurred her monitor and moved forward. All this noise is annoying, making it hard to concentrate and navigate the illogical and winding passages between the houses. Finally, her gaze lands on a building less like all the others, painted white and red, with a decoration in the form of a vegetable sticking out of the roof. Or is it not a vegetable? Vienti gets off the monitor and moves towards the door. The people running out of the building with white fur on their faces don't look particularly dangerous. Ah, those must be the elders. They're easy to defeat, if you know how. The warrior woman deftly grabs the elders by their long fur and cuts them off with a swing of her Antichrist dagger. The warm-blooded ones fall, slain. What a bunch of wimps. Vienti snorts and enters the building. Looks like she's just in the right place. Yes, looks like this is the right place. The creatures on the walls are looking at Vienti with judgment. What are they doing up there? Vienti gets closer to the wall, looking at the carved pictures. The characters in them are mostly busy breeding, or something similar. Here's one of the elders doing something with a bread roll. Next to him is a young man demolishing a pie? Males, females, and other creatures, including a bear and even a couple saurians and a moose with phallic antlers. Here is a warrior with two maidens at once. Here is a painted maiden doing something with an oblong vegetable. And from the bushes a bear is looking at her judgmentally. Bears, warriors, mermaids, moose, and a crowd of maidens. Do slabs really entertain themselves though, or are these just metaphorical? Such vulgarity. Indescribable vulgarity. She shakes her head, trying to get the images out of her head, but somehow they're lodged tightly into her brain. Worse, the sight was even starting to arouse her. Ah, so this is the biofield of the idol. Now Vienti is sure this is the right place. The idol is somewhere in here. Of course, in plain sight, on a stepped pedestal in the middle of the room, there it is, the idol. Actually, it looks like a simple human penis. Or rather, a human holding his human penis in his human hand while looking like a human penis himself. It's worth recognizing that humans are very mysterious creatures. Who would even think of that? It looks like it's made of wood, but Vienti doesn't know much about that kind of thing. She wishes she did, though. There's something about that ugly human outgrowth. Something about it that makes you want to touch it. Vienti shakes her head. She must focus on her mission. She throws the offerings off the steps to grab that stupid figure. The idol is warm? No. It probably just got a bit hot from the candles. Candles, shaped like an idol, still burn around the empty pedestal, illuminating the room with an uneven light. The candle's flames sway slightly, which is probably why the pictures on the wall seem to be moving. Some kind of shadow play, no doubt. The warriors, rested after military training, wake up and lazily crawl down to have breakfast near the bonfire. Kissel, pancakes wrapped by their wives, soured milk, and pies. How about an ice-cold bath in the Baiko waters? You'd be awake and alert in a heartbeat. The warriors only chuckle and yawn. Their muscles are sore after the exercises of the day, and their heads are empty as they were in the morning. But sober, Vidaris didn't allow warriors to drink during training. What if they hurt themselves? Or someone? What if they hurt someone or get themselves killed? I read that backwards. Drunken warriors too often get run over by passing trees. It's a common story. At least that is how the warriors themselves tell it. I was walking and a tree came running at me. I don't remember anything else. Everyone believes them, of course. Vidaris was just telling how Babrinya, the warrior, was scuffling with the trees when someone's cry came from the field. The warriors jumped up. Who was at that thought of hurting the weak? A maiden runs out to them, sobbing, disheveled and wearing only one shoe, and even that shoe is hanging on by a fair thread. Good warriors. It started. Oh, how terrible indeed. They are here. Did Doboslav fall into the swamp again? Lizards. They attacked the village. Now they are burning the huts, taking boys and girls captive. The village smelled of fumes, and the maiden's face was sooty. Vidarius frowned and struck the empty cauldron like a bell. Come on, fellow soldiers, put on your pants and get your blades in your hands. That's one way to go about it. Now we'll hit them with these Slavic pears. What the hell are they thinking, burning our village? How dare they? It didn't take a minute. The warriors gathered and marched to the village, and they left the maiden with Stavroslav to cover the bonfire and hide from the lizards. In the village, noise and smoke. Frightened cattle rushing through the streets, howling up to the heavens. Domesticated Pteroslavs, frightened or flying around, shitting on everyone's heads. In a word, a mayhem. Vidarius sees the vile lizards dragging maidens and boys in nets, and he gets enraged. Charge! The Slavs don't know the word back. Beat the creepy crawlies. We'll tear their tits off now. The army took up the battle cry and rushed to attack. Swords and axes glittering, their stomps making the ground shake. Good Slav warriors, righteously marching with swords firmly held in their hands, each warrior with a dozen. Only Doboslav fell behind again. Something flew into his eye from the sky from a frightened flying saurus. That sucks. My dad got pooped on the shoulder by a seagull once. He said he heard it splat. The good young men catch the lizards by surprise, and a hot fight ensues. The lizards are hissing, clashing their teeth, shaking their tits, and the band is trying to push them with clubs and swords to the outskirts. Vidarius fights in the ring of enemies, 3 axes at once. Young warriors make their way to him. Redivor sees something. A busty lizard comes out of the red sanctuary, carrying the holy relic behind his back. You scaly, crawling beast. Put it back where you found it. He grips his sword tighter and runs after the tail, which just disappeared around the corner. Vant examines the idol, trying to figure out what just happened. But now it looks like an ordinary piece of wood, not causing any strange desires. She sighs and shoves the idol under her arm. Howls and war sounds coming from the outside can be heard. While she was having fun here, it looks like the warriors have returned. Vienta picks up her spear and runs out of the shrine to look around. She sees a warrior running right her way, running and shouting and waving a sword. What a big one. She quickly turns the corner of the shrine, grips her spear tighter, and prepares for battle. Come on, you warm-blooded fool, get over here. Let's see what you can do. The Slav lunges out from around the corner, nearly tripping over her tail, and immediately rushes to attack. The iron sword hits the shaft of her spear, but it can't be cut that easily. Weak Slav. Not quite my tempo. She throws him back, grinning. Are these really the Slavs who bested them in battle? The Slav rushes at her again, not particularly caring about strategy. It's just blow after blow, and Vanta definitely parries them all, but she must admit, the Slav is strong and fast. If he were a little slower, Vanta would have grown bored long ago, by the power and fury of his blows. It's been a long time since she's seen such passion and such rage, such energy. You're pretty entertaining. The warm-blooded... Oh my god, why am I having such difficulty reading? The warm-blooded one only growls and howls unintelligibly. I think it's the certain words that are together. Maybe the fur on his face prevents him from speaking clearly. Are human males even capable of speech? Vienti thinks about it so deeply that she almost takes a hit and briefly loses her balance. The spear falls down and she bounces back to avoid being hit by the next one. Inspired by the advantage he just gained, the warrior strikes another powerful blow with a wide swing. At the last moment, Vienti dodges and... Ha! The sword gets stuck in the wall of the sanctuary. While the Slav is trying to pull it out of there, Vienti has already managed to pick up her spear to strike the furry head with it. Warrior falls to the ground and tries to crawl away. Vienti towers over the defeated man with an evil smirk on her face. Didn't last for long. She's about to finish him off with a precise spear thrust, but then something white falls on her face. An attack from above? You could say that. No, it's just a pterodactyl. As she wipes the excrement from her face, the warrior finally pulls out the sword stuck in the wall. And here they are again, facing each other, weapons at the ready. Vienti looks up irritably. Mindless creature. Why did it have to take a shit right then and there? That would have been such a glorious hit. I'm gonna kill you, wench. Oh, so it can talk. The warrior rushes to attack once again. Let's see how this goes, eh? I'm not getting a bunch of claws here. A little help would be nice. I mean, there was no claws in that line. What the hell? That was pretty good. Didn't give me a whole lot, but it gave me just enough. The Lizardwoman is too quick. Redibor gritted his teeth as he watched the foul lizard slip away from his blows again and again. On top of that, she's also mocking him, the scaly wench. Well, at least now, in the shadow of the shrine, the breastplate will not blind the eyes of the warrior. A breastplate? Redibor stares at her armor. Not only does the lizard have no pants, but she also has... boobs. A lizard with boobs. Viduras wasn't lying. The lizard snorts viciously and attacks again instead of answering. Redibor is defending himself well, but something is bothering him now. It does not let him rest. His gaze is moving away from the sword and feet of the enemy. What is going on with him? Boobs. He's like a teen. A teen seeing his first pair of boobs. Except they're covered. Large and squishy, almost like the maidens of his people have. Only scaly and dressed in shameful gilded garbs. And what a fighter. If only she had no scales. Redibor would immediately marry her. Vidar has warned him. The lizard goddess attached the tits to these wenches in order to confuse the warriors. They were fighting, and Redibor would glance at the obscenity jumping in front of his nose. He looks this way and that way, and thinks all sorts of thoughts that are inappropriate to have while in battle. Dirty thoughts, ruined for good young men. Redibor, distracted by the gilded tits, gets a spear to his heated head. Redibor. Vidaris, alone in the ring of enemies, calls out to him. The foul lizard rushes to Vidaris, followed by Redibor. He must rescue his comrades in arms, or the wenches will capture him. Something shiny and rattling gets under his feet. Is it the lizard's panties? Redibor stumbles and falls, hitting the back of his head against the temple wall. And he can see nothing anymore. Vienti runs fast enough to make it in time and support a group of her exhausted kin at the right moment. The warrior they were fighting was even stronger than her past opponent. He must be the local commander. But he's already exhausted, alone and cornered, and missing his third axe. On command, a group of warrior women attack him again, but now Vienti is with them. The warm-blooded one cannot defend himself. A barrage of precise blows, a timely thrown net, and the bearded Slav is lying on the ground. Tie him up, we're taking him with us. She plans to interrogate the captives. How do they use the idol? What do they do with the Baikal water? And what do they eat to grow so huge? The Supreme Mother will surely love it. And the Four Eyes will have something to work with. The other groups of warrior women were already tying the unconscious warm-blooded ones, poking particularly loudly howling females with paralyzing spears. Hopefully some good will come of them. None are fit for combat. How disgusting. They are nothing but us, lizards. Vienti thinks about the casualties. The Slavs were still able to fight back against the invasion, even if they are so weak and pathetic. Something in Vienti's mind makes her remember the fight with that one Slav over and over again. The one whose sword got stuck in the wall. Something important. Wish male lizards were like that. Strong and mighty, rushing into battle and ready to fight into the last man as it used to be. To conquer the Slavs, once and for all. The idol in her bag grows slightly warm, as if to echo the thoughts she pushes as far away from her mind as possible. Mistress Dominant, we folded all the warm-blooded ones. Shall we move out? Vienti pulls her hand from the idol bag, and the memories of the warriors fade away. She turns to see a young lizard woman saluting, one of the sergeants. Young, still green. Aren't you all green? Her name is... Vienti can't remember her name. Yes, we're going back to camp. Make sure no one's left behind. Pass the order. Yes, ma'am. They retreat, leaving the village of the Slavs to burn. Vienti gets ahead on her monitor to lead the division. And also to secure her subordinates from noticing the way her gaze shifts every time she thinks about checking the idol in her bag. I must take that Slav for a private investigation. He must have important intel. A lot of it. Around half a meter of it. What is she thinking about? Let the snakes master of hypnosis perform the interrogation, as they always have. And she'll go about her business of directing the division. She had accomplished her main task. The rest is up to the Supreme Mother and that stupid Four Eyes. Redibor opens his eyes, surveying his surroundings with confusion. Did the battle truly happen, or is it merely a figment of his imagination? However, the evidence is undeniable. His keen eye spots the silhouettes of lizards departing for the village, dragging along a line of downtrodden captives. Springing to his feet, Redibor quickly checks for his most prized possession, his hand instinctively searching for his sword amidst the chaos of battle. Spotting it nearby, lying in a puddle where it had been knocked aside during the skirmish, he retrieves it with determination. Examining his reflection in the puddle, Redibor sees a battered and disheveled version of himself, bearing the mark of a lizard spear upon his neck. It is but a trace, even though she could have done much more. No, I don't have the time to think about this. Shaking out distracting thoughts, he readjusts his armor and strides purposely towards the lizards. The weight of responsibility for all Slavic people now rests upon him, or so he believes. It is imperative to discern the intentions of the invading lizards and the direction in which they lead their captives. Their path lies through a field where young boys and girls usually play around. Redibor knows it well, like a gopher born in it. Like an agronomist, that word passes his mind. He reprimands himself for thinking like a lizard himself. He seems to have bumped his head in the fall, and that must be the reason. Redibor manages to stealthily trail them, weaving between logs and concealing himself within dense thickets until he finally catches up near the forest. The remainder of the journey is fraught with obstacles, Redibor gathering more turnips and splinters than valuable information until the camp of the lizards comes into view. I don't think so. Redibor freezes, crawling silently closer to the lizard woman with golden breasts. It's evident she holds authority here. Or else why would she even have golden tits, right? Oh wow, look at her. Wow, which one's hotter? Do you think the cobra is hotter or the normal looking lizard? I like the cobra. It's the hood. And maybe the outfit. Opposite the warrior, stretched out on her tail, stands a snake. Its hood is spread wide, its mouth agape, its forked tongue flicking across its cheeks. A sizable specimen indeed. That's an order. Show it to me. Redibor in the bushes tries to hold in his laughter. What a funny language they have. He ponders for a moment. The snake's tits aren't small either. They could probably squeeze 3 full buckets out of them. Her body is shiny too, like she's covered in oil. Scratching his beard, Redibor keeps pondering. Who's really in charge here? A snake or a lizard? Do they also have toads and frogs? And who thought it wise to entrust women with the task of fighting? Excuse me? That's inhumane. The snake and the lizard keep hissing at each other, waving their hands around in a threatening manner. It almost seems they will start comparing their busts next. Wouldn't it be funny to look at them fighting? Or so Redibor thinks, moving his hand closer to his crotch. The rest of the band also grows increasingly agitated. Hisses, crackles, grumbles fill the air, a natural response to discord among warlords, as Vidaris would have noted. The thought of Vidaris pricked Redibor's conscience sharply. His uncle had saved his life. It wasn't something to take lightly. Vidaris had diverted the lizard's attention when Redibor was momentarily incapacitated. But now, where was he? Meanwhile, the lizards moved about, conversing in their sibilant tongue, their presence of moral decay spreading in all directions. Redibor gazes at their chests, contemplating. Seems like leadership hinges on their assets. Whoever boasts the most prominent assets rises to power. What a ridiculous notion they've concocted. Truly shameful. Nearby, lizards with smaller assets, evidently of lower rank, huddled together, discussing matters beyond Redibor's comprehension. He could only catch snippets of their conversation. And so she says to me, "Strength is in truth." Imagine that. Really? I thought strength is measured in joules. Redibor listens to the nonsensical chatter, deep in thought, chewing on the tip of his beard in concentration. Slavs need to be saved, and who is going to do it if not Redibor? Same place, same time. Finally, the division arrives at the campground. Vient is already weary of dealing with the noisy, warm-blooded captives. What kind of females are they? Not even attempting to retrieve their meals or themselves. Just making noises and producing fluid-filled expressions. Ugh, crying. No, she certainly wouldn't bother chasing or wasting energy on taming them. But why did they surrender so easily? In the name of mathematics, the ancient matriarchs were right when they said that the Slavs were weak and pathetic. But how did they defeat the lizards then? Even the ones she battled. Vienti straightens up, sensing sudden danger. The scales on her tail bristling. Slavs nearby? But no, it's just Alakinshi. I see you returned, and with the spoils. Is Alakinshi dangerous? That's worth pondering. Usually snakes are only good for minor tasks, but... Commissioner Alakinshi, has the camp remained calm in my absence? Expected complications, comrade? All the Slavs were busy fighting with Sioux, so we merely guarded the territory from wild beasts. Vienti nods, locking eyes with Alakinshi. Her instincts scream danger, but pride overrides them. She wishes to cut the snake's tail all the way up to her ear. Alakinshi grins, peeking over Vienti's shoulder, examining the captives. Nice catch. Vienti tenses. Alakinshi is a cunning snake, and her tone doesn't bode well. But her ears fill with dust from the battles. Chuckles emanate from behind Vienti, her division, laughing at her? What is the meaning of this, Commissioner? Oh, the thing is... The snake's voice oozes with deception as Alakinshi's tail tip trails across Vienti's chest and lifts her chin. According to my sources, the matriarch tasked you with stealing an artifact from the village, and you brought the entire village here. It was not without reason that Vienti was alarmed by her tone. What those Slavs call it, an abomination, they weren't entirely wrong. But why would Alakinshi draw the squad's attention to an idol? I can assure you, Commissioner. She dismisses the snake's tail irritably, and it slaps against the ground. Alakinshi grins broadly, like a monitor securing its prey. So, you won't object to displaying it? What's her game? Did the Supreme Mother assign her to spy on Vienti? Alakinshi won't get her hands on the idol. It belongs to Vienti. To the lizards. There's no need. What I want is for you, your PSYOP squad, to interrogate the locals about any hidden properties of this artifact. Vienti recalls the exhilarating time spent with the idol at the shrine, and involuntarily feels a surge of heat and moisture. I'll give it to Malthus to study. Or is he, by the way? The snake tenses momentarily, as if poised to strike. Vienti feels as if the snake's fangs are about to penetrate her. But the moment passes, and Alakinshi averts her gaze. Gone. If you've devoured him, you're in deep trouble. Vienti snorts and moves deeper into the forest, hearing the rustle of grass where Alakinshi slithers. These commissioners are of no use, well, except for hypnotism. But who authorized Alakinshi to question the dominant's actions? Vienti has no intention of revealing the idol, let alone handing it over to Alakinshi. She needs it for herself, and for all the lizard folk. Clear all... do you want to clear all or rest a bit? Clear all, if I can do it. Rest a bit might be a little difficult. anything, and this might be difficult. Considering it's giving me shit things. Oh, now you're gonna help me out. Okay. I mean, it doesn't help me out on the right side. Can I do anything on the right side? Doesn't look like I can. Wow. Okay. What do I want to do here? It wasn't that great. We need 3 of those. Good God. Yeah, this was a bad run. That still didn't help me. We're gonna have to redo this one. Oh? I guess not. I kind of want to do the clear all, but we only have 1 turn left, so let's do rest of it. As Alakinchi slithers away to conduct the interrogation, Vienti allows herself a moment of relaxation. That was a close call. But a vague doubt begins to creep into her mind. Is the snake plotting rebellion against her? All this taunting right in front of the juniors. Vienti barely has time to exhale before she hears a suspicious rustling in the bushes. Did someone manage to escape during the commotion? Check the bushes, now. Vienti irritably prods the bushes with her spear in a haphazard manner. Even if there was someone hiding there, those fools must have scared them off. Vienti thumps her tail viciously on the ground. No, she couldn't afford to let her guard down. There was someone out there. With a disgruntled expression, she makes her way toward the infirmary. 2 scratched lizards, who had just been bested by the bushes, lower their eyes in fear at the sight of her and timidly tuck their tails. A disgrace to the division. Worthless scum. And right in front of the captive's eyes. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Indeed, the captives had closely observed the spectacle, and were now shuffling about in their enclosure. In the morning, Vienti wakes up in a terrible mood. All night long, she had been dreaming about things that had not happened in reality for a long time. Like being surrounded by 4 males at once, who each screws her like there's no tomorrow, and each having 2 penises. She talking about male snakes? And it made her feel sad and miserable. She felt uneasy, as if she were missing something. She gloomily gets up to check on how things are going at camp, and if anything strange has happened overnight. A prisoner revolt? A coronavirus outbreak? Diplomatic mission from Nibiru? A nighttime warm-blooded attack? There must be some explanation for this anxiety. The sentries report to her. No one has heard of any strange occurrences. Well, the younger warriors fought over the male. Alakinchi's monitor ate something and is now puking all over the place. In the bushes behind the camp, they found a pile of excrement of an unknown animal. Nothing out of the ordinary. Could the unknown animal be a human? Vienti irritably sends the sentries off to count the captured warm bloods one last time and walks through the camp, inspecting the thermal armor bra of that fool who got stuck in the bushes yesterday. Checking the sharpness of the spears with an angle gauge. The captives are all in place, and it's silly to be afraid of a pile of shit. Nothing suspicious happened, but Vienti only gets more nervous. The scientists, having collected water samples, are doing something in their lab. Until they're done, there's still no way to get on the road. Good thing the Four Eyes finally wised up and is no longer getting in the way. But Alakenchi is following her around all day long. She doesn't get close and doesn't start conversations, but constantly looms somewhere nearby and pisses her off terribly. Her cap now and then looms from behind the tents and disappears again. Vienti checks the idol in her bag. It's okay. It's still there. No, she needs to do something about this paranoia right now. Maybe she should take a bath. The coast is here, not far away, and those idiots have already taken all the samples. It's decided then. On the pretext of scouting the area, Vienti goes to the lakeside alone. Here, she finally manages to relax a little. The anxiety begins to recede. It's probably because of Alakenchi. She, one of the scientists, and now she's walking around tensing up my nerves with her hypnosis. Or maybe just with her innate bitchiness. She unbuckles her wristbands, thermal armor plates, and quantum straps. There's nothing left on her except a thigh strap and the bag with the idol, which she now prefers to keep with her at all times. With a heavy sigh, she steps into the water. Vienti relaxes, allowing the water to caress the body. The cool water pleasantly tickles her skin. Vienti rubs her hands over her scales to wash away the stupid dreams. And there are no more males like that. I shouldn't have those thoughts. After swimming for a bit, she catches up and checks the idol in her bag. It's fine. It's slightly warm. Feels slippery from the water. This reminds her of... It's getting warm between Vienti's legs, and the touch of the cool water feels especially nice. It's not a bad toy. I'll give that to the warm bloods. Handmade, exclusive. Luxury. The sun is slowly heating her scales. It's getting hotter and she wants something, and it's unclear what. Vienti takes a closer look at the idol. She had not yet had time to look at it properly. It's so hot. Did it get warmed by the sun? Vienti slowly studies the carved figure, running her fingertips along the slippery wood. From Vienti's point of view, if any object holds any importance, it should be made of steel, silicone, or stone, at least. They'll be more sturdy and not as prone to deterioration that way. She looks around nervously, but there's no one in sight. Just her, the lake, and the idol. I better put it away before it gets ruined by water. Or something. She feels something else entirely, though. It's a possession. It's not even her thoughts. No, she'll definitely hold back this time. She'll just put the idol back in her bag, stand up, and walk back to camp. She will... What's that crunching in the bushes? Vienti turns around, hissing, and just as she does that, a large, warm-blood male lunges at her from the bushes. There's fur in his face. It's the one from before. Now Vienti herself charges towards him, the idol still in her palm. The male growls, snorts, and reaches for the figurine. But Vienti deftly dodges, and immediately she launches into a counterattack. The thought of picking up a spear or dagger doesn't even occur to her for some reason. No. She launches at the male with her bare claws, with her bare everything. She raises the idol to swing at him. Oh, you damn reptile. Give the sacred stand back, or I'll make you suffer. They come face to face, the tussle over the idol getting heated. The warm blood is strong, but Vianti has a tail to start with, and she still holds the idol, and she has absolutely no intention of giving it up. Their strong bodies get entwined. Arms, legs, tail. They fight over the little wooden figure, with no thought spared for anything else in the world. In fact, they even manage to forget about the idol. A few moments pass, and the idol is already lying on the grass. Its face, skillfully carved, is lit in such a way it seems like the idol is smiling. Vianti tries to reach the male's throat with her claws or her teeth. She pins him to the ground with her tail. Why would he even fight back like that? He could lay down like all normal lizard men, and he could stay down while she would... What? Vianti finally pins the warm-blooded male to the ground, and now the only thing she regrets is that she can't immediately slip the restraints over his strange limbs. He would look so good stretched out on stakes while she... What's wrong with her? She has absolutely no intention of mating with this creature. Not at all. It's completely pointless. It's disgusting. And it's very fascinating. The warm blood takes advantage of their confusion and suddenly twists his hands out of her grasp. He grabs Vianti by her tail, causing her to shriek involuntarily. That's her sensitive spot, after all. And the warm blood squeezes it so hard with such a warm hand. Vianti lies sprawled on the ground, exhausted, breathing heavily with her mouth wide open. The warm blood behind her rises and makes a rustling sound. A weapon? Another fight? Vianti is in such bliss she doesn't want to move. Let him. Let him do whatever he wants. She just needs a little break. So Perrin's power completely trounced you, huh? Vianti only purrs in response, stretching out on the ground even more. The idol. The idol is safely hidden just under her breasts. Are you even alive in there? Feels sacrilegious to screw a living creature to death. Clanking and rustling comes from a distance. Damn it. Your fellow serpents are coming. Armed, no doubt. Reckon I can't take on a dozen of you at the same time. She hears his furried footsteps on the sand getting further from her, but getting up now is still beyond her. After a while, when Vianti can already raise herself from the ground, her squad finally reaches her. So, what do we have here? I was meditating. Splendid. Ah, and this is the idol? Marvelous. Elegant, she swipes the idol from under Vianti. The lizard woman still too weak to fight back. Give it back. Oh, this thing must be guarded securely, my lady. Snake lets out a vile chuckle and gives the younger warriors the order to raise Vianti, their dominant, to her feet, and pick up her clothes and weapons. The idol, put in my pouch. I have to keep it on my body. Absolutely. Straight away. But you obviously need to rest, my lady. You're so apparently exhausted. The anxious lizard women propping Vianti up lead her toward the camp. Vianti doesn't much like the idea of showing up there without weapons or ammunition, but... yes, she must figure out how she's going to explain all this, and soon. Staying something something Checking something Radibor. Okay, either eyes or the spread the whole thing. Right, that's gonna be difficult. Maybe. Oh, come on. I thought this one was gonna move upwards. Alright, so yeah, that's proving difficult. Alright, so the left side is all clear. Now we gotta do the right side. Got 6 turns left. I'm going to buy some moves. Because I kind of want to spread everything around to see what that is. Like what'll happen. Checking on Radibor. Okay. Radibor fled from the lizard and sought refuge in the woods once more. Scaling an oak tree, he spent the entire day observing the lizard camp from above. His heart ached for the captive villagers, and his ass was not happy either. Yet he remained perched there until nightfall, even relieving himself from his lofty vantage point like a bird. From his aerial view, Radibor noted every detail. The layout of the lizard encampment, the location of the prisoners, their guards, and the frequency of shifts. As night descended, Radibor also descended from the oak tree, moving stealthily like a shadow. He skirted a distant, circuitous path, making his way towards his fellow villagers while evading the slumbering lizards. Searching for his adversary, but finding no trace of her. Upon reaching the corral, he subdued a guard with a swift blow to the head and hurried to his own people. Quiet, keep your voices down. We're escaping and going home. If he's the one to talk, he's the one yelling. The villagers, overjoyed, stifled their excitement as Radibor meticulously hollowed out the fence from behind, extracting his comrades through the openings. Together, they bound the lizard herder with belts and ribbons and confined her within the enclosure along with her spear. I don't know why, but I like how that old man looks. He's just so funny. All that white hair. They contemplated inscribing a word on her forehead, but the darkness thwarted their plans. Once freed, they rushed out so fast and only weakened the grips on their pants once they reached the forest. All the belts were left on that lizard, after all. Radibor was hailed as a hero by his fellow villagers, showered with gratitude and embraces, yet he remained troubled. He understood that the lizards had stolen the sacred stand from their village and were attempting to transport it elsewhere. However, discord between the lizards and snakes disrupted their plans, creating a chaotic situation. Although Radibor had liberated most of the village from captivity, his conscience tugged at him to reclaim the sacred stand from the lizards and restore it to its rightful place. And perhaps to encounter his scaly opponent again, just in case they crossed paths once more. Radibor relished the thrill of combat with her. As he contemplated returning to aid the village's protector, Barun's sacred stand, 2 girls whisked him away to a nearby bush, urging him to savor their gratitude before rushing off. "Don't rush, brave one," they teased. "We'll show our appreciation properly." And thus, Redibor's dignity was rewarded with their affectionate gestures. A young, passionate man, his pizzle stirred by their words. But his thoughts are dominated by that lizard. And yet his thoughts are not much of a hindrance. They actually help him get in the mood, and he wouldn't want to offend the girls. He gracefully accepts their gratitude and even helps the girls to take off their pants. How helpful! After all, every man should support and uplift women in all beginning endeavors. Hear that, men? Especially when beginnings lead to gratifying endings. Led by the elder, the freed captives finally gathered together. Radibor is with them. He doesn't intend to stay with the villagers for long, however, as he is planning to seize the stolen sacred stand from the foul lizards. He can't rest in the thought that the slither skin defeated him in battle and snatched the idol. "I'll take the sacred stand tonight, and I'll put it back where it belongs. They say that lizards are drowsy at night. The dark will help me." The elder hesitates. However, there is no other choice. The stand must be returned. The maidens, who thanked Bogatyr earlier, hugged him goodbye and kissed him on both cheeks. And as the dark descends, Radibor makes his way to the lizard's tents. Hiding in the bushes, he observes. Beside the fire, the lizards are discussing something. Their hissing makes it difficult to catch their words. Not that Radibor cares about them. Instead, he is on the lookout for the one lizard in particular. She must be a real big shot, he thinks, considering her rich attire and her impressive spear. It makes it all the more strange the sacred stand is no longer with her, but with another lizard, in a strange hat. But Radibor doesn't consider this any further. His steps silent like that of a sneaking moose, he makes his way into the snake's tent. He fumbles cautiously in search of the sacred stand. It should be here. And then his hands stop, having touched something soft. Redibor's palms clenched on their own, groping the find, and suddenly 2 sinister golden lights lit up in front of his face. Palms clenching on their own, Radibor feels the find, and as he this literally just told me that. Looking for something. Surprised, Radibor opens his mouth, unable to utter a word. Still gripping the snake's boobs, he keeps standing there, eyeing her like a fool. Who was gathering mushrooms and got lost. Something slippery touches his ankle and creeps upward. He barely restrains himself from screaming. Have a good sleep. Fog begins to form in front of his eyes, swirling, taking the shapes of various breasts and mushrooms. Boy, he must really like those shrooms. Radibor tries to blink and remember why he is here and what is that soft thing in his hands, but the golden eyes, swaying in the darkness, order him. Sleep. Sleep. A marvelous specimen. His legs suddenly fail him, and his whole body as well. He bumps his nose into the snake's chest. Darkness swallows his mind, and the last thing going through his head is the face of that warrior with the spear. Not the cobra. What is this? A cloud of dust, a rumbling sound. As if Sviatogor, the grandfather himself, rose from his lithic coffin and is riding forth atop a stallion to fight the slithering creepers and protect the Slavic lands. What is that? Slav corpse. Go, Merca. Chew them real good, my dear. I don't think it would chew them. Maybe it would chew them. Just chomp. But Sviatogor, it is not. It is Milislava, atop her faithful Merca, rushing through the bushes. These names. The earth shakes under Merca's raging footsteps. The bell on her chest is ringing furiously, announcing the coming retribution. And Milislava herself holds a rake in her hands, pointing the way forward. Shit. With one sweep of her mighty tail, Merca sends half of Alakinshi's squad right into the bushes. Alakinshi evades, only to be hit by the rake immediately after. Her inflatable cap saves Alakinshi from a mortal blow, and as her wire cap is inflatable in the first place, who can really tell? And then the sounds come. The blowing of horns, the drumming beats, and a sultry solo coupled with a chorus made of vulgar swearing resounds throughout the forest. Clear, as if you had bought a ticket in the first row seats. Seats of war. It's the Nayaz's army, finally arrived to scatter the bodies and brains of the vile vipers. Snakes, retreat. The sight of Slavs makes the slither skins shake with terror. The sounds of the sultry solo in the name of Perun makes their scales tremble and even pale. And as a turbulent river rounds the island, the army of champions round Merca, covering Milislava and the captives with her big body. Vianti the warrior whispers frightening mathematical formulas, tries to gnaw at the fetters that bind her. All the while, Nayaz Gachislav's army is approaching closer and closer. The snakes run, dropping their weapons, hissing and cursing with 100-argument logarithms. Gachislav's troop chases them, yelling threats and prophecies of a terrible fate waiting for them. They don't know. Those were not weapons the lizards dropped on the ground, or rather, weapons of a different kind. Tramping across the field, not looking under their feet, the soldiers get ensnared by vines and ivies. The foul vegetation, the very sight of which is an insult to both Perun and Makash, entwines the champions' bodies. The vileness of things the green tentacles do to poor young men in their captivity cannot be described. What now resounds across the battlefield is no war music. It's panting and moans full of grief, and sometimes joy, of defeat. Milislava drives Merca away with a bundle of captives in its teeth, back to the forest, away from sin. Under the canopy of centuries-old oaks, Merca releases the captives, grumbling unhappily. It would suck to ride that thing. All those spikes jutting up. Radibor, now untied, shakes his head, spitting, trying to clear the tang of the gag from his mouth. Radibor, dear, may Mother Earth give you strength. He looks up at Milislava, standing proudly above him. The rake in her hand has a dent in the shape of Alakinshi's cap. What a courageous woman you are. I am tempted to ask you to marry me. Milislava only sighs and averts her eyes somewhere to the side. Damn it. Why does it sting so much? Did I sit on a hedgehog? You, dear Redibor, are lying on a she-lizard. Redibor, grunting, rises to his feet and indeed finds Vianti beneath him with a gag in her mouth. Ugh, damn you. Untie me right now. I like you the way you are. Her. Where'd you hide the sacred stand, foul one? It's stolen. taken away. I will tell you where it is, if you untie me. Yeah, I don't understand that. Vienti was ordered to get the stand, but then Alakinshi just turned around and takes it from her. Is Alakinshi going rogue? Miloslava shakes her head. From behind her, Malsis takes a cautious peek. Alakinshi took the idol? That's not good. You're here too, huh? Could it be that she took it to the pyramid? Shut up, you idiot. I keep hitting something. The, what is it? Windbreaker on the mic. With my arm, because I'll raise my arm sometimes. Just my elbow will hit it. Shut up, you idiot. What the hell is a pyramid, and where is it? I'm not saying a thing until you release me. She hisses angrily and snaps her teeth. Don't hiss, or I'll put something thick in your mouth. I need to chase that bitch down and turn her inside out, like a sock. Radibor grunts, but decides to cut the ties. Released, Vienti stands up and starts pacing back and forth, making angry gestures, analyzing. It is thundering right now, so if you hear thunder and rain, that is the cause. It pisses her off terribly that she has to explain what's going on to the Warmbloods, but without their help she's unlikely to make it to the pyramid. And what makes her even more pissed is that Redibor's threats encourage her more than it's insulted. Meanwhile, a broken but seemingly well-off and satisfied overall, Nyasa's army is approaching them from the site of battle. Yeah, Miloslava, I think we better go. Take Mirka and let's head over there. Are you blind or what? Can't you see a brick hanging on that tree? Don't you know it means no entry? Stop fretting. We'll be in and out in no time. And so they make their way past the brick chained to the tree. Miloslava shakes her head with disapproval. Alright, we gotta clear all. Okay, so that's pretty good. Pretty good setup there. I gotta work on the left side now. Yes. I got that side done. Now it's just you. Keep going nonetheless. After dropping off Redibor and Vienti, Miloslava and Malsis decide to go back. They promise to send the troops after Alakinshi, and as for Redibor and Vienti, they will go around, towards the pyramid through magical forest of Lurkomori. Yes, that's how you say that. Hey. Where are you going? Our goal lies in the opposite direction. Nah, it doesn't matter. For every path in Lurkomori leads you to your goal. The century-old oaks sway their crowns and rustle their leaves in agreement. We need to go south. Yeah, what's your name, Slithered? Vienti. Vienti, then. They call me Redibor. Pretty striking for a male name. Oh, yeah, right. She squints one eye at Redibor's physique and its various prominent parts, and with an irritated sigh, concludes that some males can apparently be quite brawny. Very much so. The lizards had found a warm-blooded male under the glacier bed once, but his body was frail. For a long time, the lizards believed the warm-blooded went through the same evolutionary process that lizards have. This hypothesis was just squashed by human male protruding buttocks, hard as nuts. How intriguingly tailless it is, though. She can't help but wonder how he even manages to keep his balance without a tail. What is male? Is this some kind of animal? A creature with a penis. Masculine specimen. Oh, a man. And you, then, are a she-lizard. You are a woman, right? Can't really tell you all apart. Peru knows, maybe your males walk around with tits too. Of course I'm a woman, isn't it obvious? Radivor scratches his head and laughs. I don't know. I was a little carried away, so I wasn't paying attention. And you never know. Still, I'm glad you're a woman. Would be awkward otherwise. Consider what they've done, yeah. And we're still going the wrong way, and the night will break soon. We Slavs have one direction, forward. The Slavs do not know the word back. There's a lot of words you don't know. We need to go south. No, we should go over there, to the mountain where the crayfish hibernate, and to the hole where the wolves sleep. In the name of mathematics. By the way, where are we going to sleep tonight? I don't suppose you have a thermal tent with you. We'll lie down under a bush, wrap our cloaks around the fire, and spend the night. Oh, yeah, that's right. Primitive use of fire. What? Try not to burn down the whole forest, and how are you going to start a fire anyway? With stick and wit. Vienti lets out a heavy sigh, but for whatever reason, mysterious to her as it is, she does find the warm-blooded male strangely amusing. Waking up the next morning from uneasy dreams, Radivor finds a lizard in his bed. Holy shit. Actually, it wasn't really a bed. It was just a cloak spread out under a bush. Radivor's head is killing him, as if he was hungover. A mighty one. A hell of a beating I took last night, it seems. With an aching head, Radivor rises and shakes a disgruntled lizard. Vienti, right. It's not too late to go in the right direction. As Vidaris used to say, the right direction is forward. Crazy warm-blooded bunch. I should have gone alone. The Bogatyr and the warrior keep bickering as they make their way through the forest. Bickering so much and so loud, in fact, the woodpeckers are falling down from the oaks, paralyzed by the sheer power of the argument. 'Cause that makes sense. Look, there's a signpost rock. Make the way to the right, lose your dick in a fight. What? And if you go to the left, then your saurus won't be kept. Hey, that's about you. You're a bipedal saurus, right? I am saurian, yes, but not a saurus. Saurian, huh? Does that mean you like tasting sour things? I have one. Screw you! Why is it sour? Now quiet, Scaly. What does it say in the middle? Got you, Slav, as an asshole. They study the proclamation some more. Apparently, it was made with charcoal on top of the old letters. With a sad sigh, Radivor wipes it off to reveal the original message. The forward track leads to Kashai's sack. Oh, that's where we're going. Vienti suppresses a very strong urge to howl some particularly convoluted formula to the heavens. Her internal compass tells her that, without changing their direction, they are somehow heading south now. How does it even work? A little away from them, something round and brownish rolls along the path in a relaxed manner, making strange noises from time to time. Oh, don't be afraid now. That's just Grandma and Grandpa's Sweeborg escaping again. Now we must go forward and we can't make any turns, or we'll end up in who knows what trouble. And when we reach Koshai's sack, there will be a chest we need. What chest? A chest on an oak tree. In the chest, there's a hare. In the hare, there's a duck. And in the duck, there's an egg. What's in the egg? Oh, it's that story. So is there a needle in the egg? No, the needle is in the haystack. What needle? That'll be weird. No, Koshai's sack is in there. Pickled. What do you even mean by sack? I'll show you on the way. And their riddles have me confused. Who's this? Ahead of Radibor and Vienti lies a long road filled with adventures. Is it though? Many strangers they meet along it, sometimes Rosakas, sometimes Leshies. Leshy? From that one card game that I can't remember the name of because I have a terrible memory. Inscription. Yes. Try asking Leshy for directions. Will it simply answer you? Of course not. It'll demand you to scratch its snag, or maybe tickle its acorns in return. Ugh. Then there was an old man who lost his cane, lying in the middle of the road, wailing for help and not letting anyone pass until his stupid stick is returned. All of this angers Vienti, making her hiss and sizzle. So much so, Radibor has to calm her down every single night. Sometimes more than once. But such is the nature of this enchanted place. Alurkamorye. Stepping on a path here, you won't easily find your way out until you walk all the other entwining paths. Here you can find magical frogs, flashing brightly in the bushes, and don't you even try to lick one. Here you can meet talking birds, and fish walking on human legs, even a cat on a tree with a golden chain around its neck, rapping all day long while making obscene gestures. All manner of wonders. Is that what she's doing? Even the weeds here are magical, especially liked by the local shamans, although they would never share it with you, or they risk being charged with distribution. And so follows the winding paths in between ancient oaks. It's not acorns that fall down from their branches on our heroes' heads, but an endless stream of side quests, enough to justify a lifetime subscription. It's like World of Warcraft. Get lost in all the content, and you'll forget who you even are. Like World of Warcraft. A Slav warrior named Radibor, or a samurai with a legendary sword powered by quantum batteries? Who will be able to tell? Such is the truth about this place, and whoever tells you differently, know that they are shameless liars. But let Perun be their judge. Meanwhile, our heroes found Koshai's sack, stinking something awful, but not without its use for a wary traveler. But alas, the story of what our heroes had done with it and how they've lost one nut and broke another will have to wait for the next update. Almost 2 weeks passed since Vienti and Radibor set foot in Lurkamorye. Long had they wandered, until finally they arrived at the local airport. Airport? It's one thing to settle at Tereslav and soar to the nearest store. It's another thing entirely to travel across the lands in search of the Snake's Pyramid. For the latter task, the warm-blooded geese are far better suited. Their services don't come cheap, however. A lot of money to the cost of a visa stamped on your left ass cheek is required. But that's another story. There's a lot of other stories. They better, do some DLCs for this game to make up for these unknown stories. And so Radibor and Vienti sat down on geese, and the geese carried them to the sought-for faraway land, with a short stop over by Kel to gather the magical waters. And so they rushed to the distant desert, where the serpent pyramid stands erect in the sand. On the dune in the middle of the desert, not far from the pyramid, the geese landed. They left the warrior and the bogatir and set off for their next destination. How'd Alakinshi get here so fast and we took forever? The pyramid can be seen even from far away, and even if its height wasn't much of a waymark in the dark of the night, the glowing eye above certainly is, directing the snakes where to crawl to do their vile snake deeds. The lizards, however, have been known to complain about the glow, since unlike snakes they tend to sleep at night like all normal people should. Unless there's something better to do. And Radibor and Vienti have already gotten used to spending the night warming each other. It's no mere activity now, but a custom. And customs are not easily broken. Redabor pulls down Vanti's thermo bikini armor, but not completely. It wouldn't be nice if she got cold and went into hibernation in the middle of fun, now would it? Fortunately, both of them had plenty of chances to get used to each other's warmth across the 2 prior weeks. The rising sun has spread its rays across. Redabor the Bogatir and Vanti the warrior rose, wiping their sleepy eyes. They directed their gazes towards the snake's pyramid. What is that they see over there? What is it they hear? The snakes and lizards together in a single army are marching forward, led by a familiar face in a crumpled cap, distinguishable even from so far away. Alakinshi, that bitch. Did she hypnotize everyone as soon as she took over? It can't be any other way. Look, the Nyaz's army is following them. I knew voting for a Gachi Slav was the right choice. Glad he didn't leave us with our butts naked out in the cold. We should stick with them. Wait, stop thinking about sticking and focus for a minute. What's wrong with sticking? Say you don't like it. Several snakes in dark hoods can be seen carrying bales into the pyramid from the other side. There, we'll get in through the rear. I'm going to find Alakinshi and stick something into her, alright. Quietly, they descend the hillside and sneak towards the back door. The door is shut, but Vanti knows a secret serpent magical word, only told to allies and friends. It can open any door. Is that German? Fluggescheimen. The door gives way, and the Bogatir and the warrior woman enter, sneaking along the walls. Now what? Who do I sprinkle water on? Quiet. We'll sprinkle it over my division to get their heads back where they belong. As for Alakinshi, her head belongs at the bottom of that bicale of yours. Well, well, don't fret, scaly one. We'll take your horde back and kick whatever asses that need kicking. I hope they're not already busy slaughtering each other while they were sneaking in here. I don't hear anything, so I don't think they're fighting. We'll take the top and get close to the main entrance. There, we'll wait until the Gachislav of yours come. And then we'll start squirting. They crawl up the gallery above the front door of the pyramid, and from there, they quietly sprinkle water on the approaching corpse women under Alakinshi's command. Core. Confused, the lizards start looking for Vanti at first, but soon, as their stupor is lifted, they finally see Alakinshi for what she is. The unrest between the lizards starts quickly growing. And then the shouting raises, yells filled with profanities. Gachislav's army is here. Yeah, sure. Alakinshi hides in some previously unnoticeable crevice, tacking on a cap that can't fit through. There, we've got to get her. She's the one who's been poisoning the situation. While the troop, assessing the cultural prospects for cooperation, disarms the snakes, and lizards too, just in case, Vanti rushes after Alakinshi. Where's the All-Mother in all this? Like, she just not know what's going on despite being the All-Mother. Redabor, Miloslava, and Melsis, in a comic pursuit, follow in quick succession, each driven by their own motivations and ties. A strange noise resounds throughout the pyramid. Strange ringing, alien to both human and lizard ears. Even the snakes start fidgeting uncomfortably. The faces of the Gachislav's men change as they hold onto their groins. The lizards follow their example. Oh, is it the stand doing that? Their faces turn pale and their eyes turn red. The troop, mixed with lizards, with maddened faces and muzzles, stumbles with unsteady steps toward the heroes, somehow remaining in their right mind. I've got a bad feeling about this. Get in the hole now. Yeah, that's what she said. Literally, that's what she said. She leads the way as a warrior should, quickly disappearing into the narrow gap. Scarlet eyes blaze closer and closer. Following, Redabor and Mouses have a hard time shoving Miloslava through the hole, with Mouses hiding behind her. Poor Redabor is dragged through the gap by the 3 of them, and he almost gets stuck halfway through. Oh, he would have a hard time with his backside open to the enemy. The heroes run through the passages, looking for the source of the ringing. Get lost, but do not give up. But do not give in to despair and keep running. Ella Kinchi, get out of there and let's have a woman-to-woman talk. But Ella Kinchi ignores the call, and VNT rushes at her. Fuck. What is it? Some kind of barrier? Ugh. Both of them try to cut through the barrier, but to no avail. That is, until Miloslava, who everyone has forgotten about, pokes the barrier gently with a rake. Huh. Is this supposed to be like on your first night? If you poke it slowly and gently, it goes in pretty smoothly. Radivor and Vienti slow their movements and move slowly through the thickness of the Antichrist field. And Mouses catches Miloslava by the hem again, this time not letting her go any further. And let's just stand here, out of the way. Mathematics know what it'll do to lactation. To what? Stop, I say, woman. Maybe this stuff makes your milk disappear. Oh, you're such a smarty pants. The idol. The sacred stand. Vienti throws her spear away and picks up the idol, but the densest part of the field won't let it through. Ugh, in the name of Perun, she should be cleansed from her filth by that sacred stand. The idol pulses in agreement, seemingly interested. Do it, and that can help. Come on, Radibor, pull out your might. Radibor, without embarrassment, whips out his might, and Vienti, half in jest, half in earnest, taps it with the idol. Radibor, inspired, bursts into thunderous laughter. Slowly and gently, right? Like the first night, Gorjda. Vienti puts the idol on her thermopants armor and, as if it is fusing, the idol sticks in place. Yeah, I guess Gorjda it is. Behind their backs, the mesmerized lizards and Nayaz soldiers slowly crawl into the hall, their eyes glowing scarlet and their private parts smoking. It is coming down outside, so I apologize, unless you really like ASMR hard rain. I mean, you like other hard things, so why not hard rain, right? Once again, always forgetting to look at the side to see what I'm supposed to do. I'm sorry, what? I had moves. I was looking at a move. Why did it reset? That's so stupid. I had a damn move. I kind of spin it there, but still. Oh, here we go. And that did a lot, but did it do enough? If not, we can do it again. That should be enough, right? Maybe if I can get this down. Oh yeah. We're gonna find a way. Deep in trance inside the hypnotosed sarcophagus, Alakenchi nevertheless begins to suspect something. A little too late, however. A spark leaps between them, and from that spark burst the flames and devour everyone. There's no way to fight it. One can only succumb to desires now. Succumb and act upon them. To resolve the cravings of everyone and anyone at once. And so, after having such a bonding experience, the lizards decide to settle near the slabs. The more the merrier, as they say. Together, they could discuss diplomatic matters and cheer each other up with various exercises, for a healthy spirit can only reside in a healthy body. It didn't take long for the lizards to learn wearing cocoa schnicks and interact with their new neighbor in various ways. Wait, what? And interact with their new neighbor in various, mostly physical ways. Okay, I got ahead of myself. I do that sometimes, okay? The local girls took a liking to lizardmen as well. Quiet and nice, good listeners, who won't pull in their braids, and ready to take up all the house chores too. Having such a man in the house is every woman's pride. As for their tendency to wear skirts, well, that's what it is in fashion right now, so why not? Look at Doboslav, for example. That one doesn't wear anything below the waist at all, walking around the swamps exposing his nether regions for everyone to see. Does anybody mind? Not really. Certainly not the Lizardwomen, who took quite a liking for said swamps, and made them their resorts to rest after days of hard labor. And Doboslav, in his own way, contributes to that, so all is well in the end. Miloslava and Mousa set out on an expedition to the glacier, to continue Middreslav's work and to discuss culture exchange prospects with the Supreme Mother. I said All Mother before because I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. They also took the sacred stand with them, since it grew visibly bored of staying in one place and wanted to see the world. As for Alakenchi, she remains tied up and imprisoned even to this day. The troopers and the bogateers alike come to her every day, trying to convince her to give up her evil ways and give herself to Father Perun. And every day she rejects them, because she knows the Slavs will try to convince her with their pistols, over and over again. Oh, okay, she's a little sneaky like that, sneaky snake. All according to her plan. Only Perun knows how much genetic material she has collected in her secret pockets. And how much more she will. Alright, that's the first timeline we've gone through. We did miss a couple one-time events. It's weird that says I missed this one, but it's connected, so I'm like, alright, how did I miss it? So maybe it connects to the bottom, not the very bottom, but the middle right here. Because it looks like a lizard's tail is up in the air. And it just goes from that to the next one. I don't know. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in our next... Well... Let's do this one down here. That we missed. In the bush near the lake. I'm going to suppose that means in the bushes near the lake. This is one we didn't do. Malsus grabbed his rations and hid in the bushes closer to the water. The warriors make him nervous. Too many willing to let their tongues loose. Or their hands. As if he's some kind of sex toy instead of an independent person. And a scientist, by the way. By the water, alone, he is much calmer. He chews his dinner looking curiously at the local frogs. Much larger than at home. Weird. I'll have to grab some samples. The long spotted fish are also quite interesting looking. It seems that back home in Atlantis, they keep them in aquariums. Like this, but 10 times smaller. back home in Atlantis. He lives in Atlantis, the underwater city. It's probably all about the water. He is thinking deeply about formulas and future experiments. Oh, you're resting here all by yourself? Mouses gets startled and jumps in surprise. The frog leaps away from the fallen tray with a loud croak. Mrs. Commissioner Alakinshi, good evening. I mean, radiance to your scales. What are you doing here? Oh, now I have to report to you instead of the other way? Is that it? Excuse me, it would be so sad if something unfortunate happened to our little important scientist. Melsa swallows audibly. He'd heard some very strange rumors about Alakinshi that he'd taken as crude jokes, but now, in the dark bushes, watching her lick her lips, he wasn't sure they were really just rumors. I'm fine. The frogs are bigger here. Frogs. Very interesting. Have you tried them yet? What? Hey, Alakinshi. Have you seen the little guy? Alakinshi tries to gag him with the tip of his tail, but Mouses manages to let out an inarticulate cry. Vandy scrambles through the bushes, but when she arrives, she finds Mouses already freed from the snake's grip. He settles to the ground like a rag doll. He's here. Looks like he's freezing. Poor young man. So you're warming him up, huh? Overcooling can be deadly. Just like you. Ma'am, those are jealous gossips. Alright, but let me tell you. You don't want to be poking around the bushes for research equipment. Right, ma'am. I'm not equipment. Shut up and go to camp. Alakinshi, you stay. As much as Mouses wanted to know what the warriors were talking about, orders were orders. Besides, he'd rather not risk getting caught in the bushes by anyone else. Okay. So we got that part. Alakinshi eats male servants. I mean, it already stated that the snakes ate their males, right? Because obviously lizards still have males with them. Maybe it's just Alakinshi, the cobras and all that eat the males. Maybe they should, like, stop doing that. They can enjoy themselves a bit better. Here's another thing that we missed out on, so let's go ahead and go for that one. The lizards begin to settle down for the night, extinguishing their fires and retreating into their tents, murmuring in their guttural tongue. Radibor, seething with anger, can barely contain himself as he watches the lizard women engage in shameful activities with his fellow bogateers. In the corral, the village girls cry out like cattle, while the lizards prowl around, taunting them with their spears poking through the netting. They're having fun. If it were up to him, Radibor would rush out of the bushes and slaughter all these scaly wenches. But he knows he's outnumbered, and so he clenches his teeth, made to bide his time in the bushes until it's dark and all the lizards settle for the night. His initial plan was to steal back the sacred stand, but witnessing the plight of his fellow villagers, he knows he must also free them from captivity. Waiting until the cover of darkness, Radibor consciously makes his way toward the most exquisite tents of the lizard women. The sacred stand is hidden somewhere in there, and he must get it back before the lizard women do some damnable mischief with it. He gets close, but a careless movement causes him to drop a spear, alerting the lizards to his presence. Agitated, the lizards begin scurrying around. Radibor has to huddle in the bushes again, even stopping his breath. A sentry lizard walks back and forth, looking behind the sacks and tents and poking the bushes with her demonic spear. Radibor crouches lower, to the very damp earth, praying to Father Perun to remain hidden from the gazes of the wretches. Radibor crawls deeper into the bushes and dozes off there. He doesn't fall into a deep sleep. With one eye open, he tries to fight all the disturbances boiling in his mind. Right. That takes care of that. The areas that I've not been to. First off, we're going to start with this upper one, though. Because I'm curious. Vanti tries her best to catch her breath, but she just can't do it. Presenting herself to a warm blood and almost getting caught by her squad, and even worse, Alakinshi. The snake couldn't have dreamt of a better opportunity to undermine Vanti's authority. She probably should be thinking how to make a preemptive move, but a pleasant languor is still spreading throughout Vanti's body, and this state of hers isn't too conducive to scheming. What had happened is just inexplicable. And for that very reason, Vanti isn't feeling like explaining anything. Not to Alakinshi, not even to the Supreme Mother herself, should she decide to send a drone again. We were concerned we'd lost you. One could clearly see from Alakinshi's face that she really wanted to say hoping, but she thought better of it as the last moment. What's happening with the samples? Is everything ready? Yes, for quite some time, even though I do not understand why we are doing this. Are you having trouble with your sense of time after meditating? Vanti scowls at Alakinshi, eyeing the snake from under her brow plates. You interrupted me. You must have had some interesting visions, mistress. The expression on Alakinshi's nasty face doesn't bode well, but Vanti just shrugs it off with regal grace. She doesn't have to report to anyone, and certainly not to Alakinshi. Pass down the order, we're pulling out, and send someone to sweep the area. Absolutely. Vanti is still somewhat lost in her bliss, a little more lost than would be prudent. But there's nothing to be done about this purely physiological reaction. Vanti beckons the younger lizard women and fearful males and orders them to dress her appropriately. More than anything, she wants to devour something, preferably something still writhing in her mouth, and sprawl out on some big rock, bathing in sunlight. Just a physiological reaction. Suddenly, a feeling of cold terror runs down her spine. The feeling is so strong she knocks over one of the attending lizards with an involuntary flick of her tail. Another one of the physiological responses. No, this must be fundamentally impossible. She's not one of those wimpy scientists, but even she knows what an intercourse like the one she had can't produce any offspring. But apparently her body got such a powerful boost of hormones that, holy mathematics. Vanti really hopes that no parts of her body have taken to producing eggs after that meditation. That would be a true disgrace. Just in case, she goes to the scientist's tents under the pretenses of an inspection, intending to ask the bumbling mouses some random and completely unprompted questions about interspecies crossbreeding. But when she arrives there, she finds that Mouses has disappeared, and none of the male lab technicians can even say exactly when it happened. If anything could piss her off even more, this was it. Did Alakinshi do something with him again? Again. The search party naturally finds no one. Alakinshi's snakes are so happy and clean that Vanti begins to doubt that they were seriously looking for someone. She really should punish them when she's rested. No mouses, no warm-blooded male. Not that it's a great tragedy, but not too pleasant. For both of them, Vanti had a certain number of questions. The kind of questions that are best asked face to face. But for now, she was sharing dinner with her closest warriors and wouldn't hear any of any males. Unless they were brought to her tied up right now. Both of them. The roasted meat of the local horned creature, warm-blooded, of course, goes great with habushu. Good thing Alakinshi isn't around. One of Venti's companions cautiously wonders if the morning meditation was good. Judging by the loud rustling of the scales of the others, everyone is interested in this question, and very, very much so. Do they know her meditation involved bliss? On the one hand, it's certainly worth finding out who's spreading these rumors around the camp. On the other hand, if she can't trust even her inner circle, it would be fitting for her to give up her position and go hide in the desert. Ha, so she'll give it up, of course. Well, that was enlightening. She fairly rocks and digs into the juicy meat. She fairly rocks? Okay. With a dark crust on the outside, it's almost raw on the inside. The wonderful meat juice runs down her fingers. Some of the writing in this game is... I don't know. The misspellings, the weirdness of it. She dislikes well-cooked food. Feels half-digested. Fit only for larvae and males. Real females are better off eating real meat, killed and cooked the proper way. They only have one penis. The warriors express deep shock with gestures, but remain respectfully silent, waiting for the continuation. But it's bigger than our deadbeats have. A lot bigger. Longer and thicker, albeit without the growths, but it was still quite pleasing. She licks the nibbled bone contentedly, listening to the cautious questions. A burning curiosity shines through the caution. Venti smugs. Once again, she knows something that other people don't. That's why she's the dominant of the whole division. Does it feel good? Are there thorns? Do warm-blooded males discard the penis after copulation? That would suck. That would suck for you guys, huh? How long can they last? Doesn't it ruin the scales? Maybe we should get a couple of these males for the squad. The scientists aren't too good. Venti nods, explaining that warm-blooded people don't discard anything, which is unfortunate. She would like to get such a trophy. It's still unclear about the scales, but it feels very healthy. And she's perfectly fine with keeping a couple of prisoners for her companions as well. Scientists won't need all of them at once, will they? And you can catch new ones later. Warm-blooded ones are pretty easy to catch. Excited about their plans for the future, they retire to their tents to get a good night's sleep before a hard day's work. The morning greets Venti with strange silence. The usual sounds of the camp, the bickering of changing sentries, the crunch of breakfast being devoured. They're all gone. Venti rises, tensed. She quickly tidies herself up and prepares to face yet another undoubtedly adverse incident. She habitually checks the pouch on her hip, just to make sure. The idol is gone. What? She recalls all the happenings of yesterday in panic, trying to figure out when she last saw the idol. On the shore, and Alakinchi picked it up. The damn warm-blooded male did a number on Venti's brain with his stupid giga penis, so much so she forgot all about the idol. Venti hisses and thumps her tail in annoyance, nearly demolishing our portable wash basin. The Supreme Mother will be very disappointed if... Oh, no. Of course Venti will go and get the damn thing back from Alakinchi, and she'll do it right now. Venti steps swiftly out of the tent. Ah, such a beautiful morning, mistress. But perhaps you are not my mistress anymore. Alakinchi stands in front of her tent, as if she was waiting for Venti to wake up and come out. And Venti's warriors. What's wrong with them? Venti's closest companions stand right behind Alakinchi, staring straight ahead with glassy eyes. Hypnosis. Why would she do it? What is this? A mutiny? Why would they have her on a squad? if she can hypnosis anyone she wants. That's terrible. Because if she did turn out to be the bad girl, which, hello, then she just, like, screw everything over. Oh, why so serious? Just a little adjustment of power. How blessed I am to have everything I desire. And your presence is no longer necessary. And what do you think you can do to me? Elegantly swirls the tip of her tail in irritation. Well, my new friends would love to take care of you. Right after I figure out why my new hypnosis technique isn't working on you. In the meantime, we can utilize your wonderful habit of offering yourself to your opponents. Yes? Obeying Alakenchi's sign, Vienti's yesterday confidants, so eager to learn about the warm bloods, subdue and tie up Vienti with lifeless, mechanical movements. And no panicked orders from her. Nothing can stop them. One of the younger Lizardwomen hurries up to the command tents, sticking out her split tongue and panting. Some of the captives have inexplicably disappeared, but Alakenchi's special prey is still there. That's fine. We have no need for so many warm bloods. Vienti indignantly rustles her scales. The prisoners were required for Mouse's experiments. Alakenchi ties Vienti up with emphasized roughness, giggling and muttering something about her own experiments, and how she would teach everyone a lesson, starting from Vienti and all the way to the Supreme Mother. So what does she have against everyone? Is it because she's a snake and they're considered lower than lizards? It must be the influence of the idol, with Alakenchi obviously keeping it close to herself. But Vienti realizes with impotent rage that all this tying up has excited her. And what's worse, Alakenchi sees it. One human is hardly enough for the Supreme Mother. Mouse's... Oh, what an unfortunate coincidence. Mouse's is also missing. Hopefully the warm bloods save him. Your lizard lust only gets in the way. No matter. I have the idol now, and we're setting off towards the pyramid. What? We must deliver him to the Supreme Mother. Alakenchi smiles toothily and shakes her head slowly, touching her peaked cap while her other hand tests the strength of the ropes on Vienti with mock gentleness. Warriors. I'm afraid you with your lasciviousness are not fit for command. I discharge you, and I have other orders. You're gonna pay for this. You're gonna pay. The youngest lizard runs up to them again, concerned and frightened, and reports the sighting of dust cloud on the horizon. The sighting of a dust cloud that looks too much like something that an advancing army will produce. Now, it is time to go back. All the way back to here. Oh goodness. I hope I remember the choice I made. Mouseus makes his way toward the pond, trying to ignore the voices of the females behind him. Warrior women are always yelling for some reason. He gave up on trying to understand this. First they get under your skirt, then they fight with each other, then they send you away. He kicks a rock with irritation, but immediately hisses at the pain in his foot. They really portray scientists as weak and inferior despite like them being scientists and pretty damn smart about certain things. Mouses was used to sandstone and limestone in the lizard lands, so he was completely unprepared for this. Minder's puke. That hurts. He sits down on the bank, grunting in pain, and picks up the stone. The lower part is damp and covered with earth, sparse blades of grass, and dirt. He should probably take it to the lab, do some research, but Mouses tosses the stone aside and stands up. Who cares about stupid stones? If somebody listened to me, we could have won this war without a single fight. I think. He reaches the reeds and wades through them, shoving the heavy stalks aside. Even frogs don't interest him anymore, so offended he feels. And the reeds are not interesting either. Sturdy, tall, way above his head. Probably influenced by Baikal waters too. Screw that. They brought me here to think, right? Then I refuse to think. I'll be dumb and happy like these rabid warrior women. With some difficulty, he plucks one of the reeds from the muddy bottom with a root and pretends it's a spear. Here he was, Malsus, a strong male, a hunter, and a fisherman, and he couldn't be bothered. That's how he used to play when he was a boy, when he was still soft and hadn't grown a comb. He swings his reed spear, reminiscing. His swing makes the stalk of a nearby reed bend, only to jerk back and hit him right in his muzzle. Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. Even the reeds here are stronger than him, let alone the warrior women or the Slavs. Malsus rubbed his bruised nose, glaring hatefully at the plant that attacked him. Reed doesn't look too remorseful, or even ashamed. Just an ordinary indifferent reed, only much larger. Grumbling and complaining about life to who knows who, Malsus walks further along the shore. His mood is not at its best, and he completely forgets to be cautious. Slavs don't seem like an immediate threat, but rather some creatures from legends, which he will never meet. This will not happen to him simply because nothing interesting ever happens to him. Never say never. Never. Never say never. To distract himself somehow, he begins to remember the words of the language of Slavs, once hammered into his still soft head. They have a fairly simple language, and even Malsus was able to master it despite not being a linguist at all. It's unlikely to ever come in handy, but Malsus starts muttering verb conjugations and a list of idioms to himself. Stupid females, stupid Slavs, stupid reeds. Miloslava tied Mirka to a willow tree, and is now splashing in the lake and sighing. Her little boy, Lechazar, still called Lupeshka because he's still very young, stayed today at Livava's cousin's house. I don't know any of these names at this point. I think she's Miloslava, though. Pretty sure. I must be getting old if even simply going to the water feels like a break. Radibor's right. I need a man. But who would want an aging woman with a temper like hers? She hit it off well with Mudroslav, her intelligent and well-behaved husband. Alas, Mudroslav was lost under the glacier. He went to seek knowledge in the faraway lands and was lost. Her husband's brother brought the news, and he brought Mirka back as well. Now Lupeshka and Mirka were everything Miloslava had from her husband. That and her brother-in-law, Doboslav, but that one is useless. Miloslava wipes the sweat from her forehead with her sleeve and lets out a heavy sigh. Mirka grunts in agreement at her from the shore. It's nice in the lake. It's cold and quiet. The water feels nice. Miloslava considers going for a swim while no one is here. Only Mirka, who was chewing reeds and shaking her head. I'll take a bath, and then we'll get some water and go home, Mirka. Gotta heat the bathhouse, clean the floor. You stay here and defend the carrying pole. Mirka nods in agreement. Miloslava smiles, leaves the carrying pole on the shore and goes down to the water. On such a hot day, the cool lake water feels especially pleasing. It washes over Miloslava, cooling her heated body, her head. Washes away the dreary thoughts, little by little. Miloslava goes deeper and deeper, squinting at the sun. Having reached the middle of the lake, she dives in only to resurface at a distance. Short web, her smile is wide. She swims and splashes, like a carefree child. The sun gradually moves down. That's enough. Time to go back. She comes ashore to the carrying pole in Mirka. The white fabric of her undershirt, made transparent by the water, reveals her plump breasts and pink nipples. But first, I have to dry myself off. Can't be walking in the village with all my privates exposed, can I? A lizard, with a spear, wearing a skirt, staring at her like he has seen a miracle and gurgling something incomprehensible. Angered, Miloslava hits a lizard with her carrying pole right between his eyes, making him fall into the reeds, and jerking his legs. But what is it? This is no spear in his hand, just a simple reed. Was she scared for no reason? And look at him, he is so skinny and fragile. Miloslava feels especially embarrassed when she notices the glasses that flew off the lizard's face. Just like his. Exactly like his glasses. She shakes her head and sighs, remembering Mudroslav again. She drags the unfortunate lizard deeper into the reeds. Or else Murga will step on him, or some other misfortune will befall him. Trying hard to convince herself that the emotionless lizard, has nothing to do with her, she walks away, placing the carrying pole holding full buckets between the Murga's sturdy crests. I should warn everyone, though. The lizard army might be nearby. Malthus opens his eyes and rubs his forehead. The reed rustle around him, but everything is blurry. It's clear that something has happened to him. But what exactly? He staggers, tries to get up, falls a couple times, accidentally grabbing the air instead of a reed stalk. His head really hurts. He must have a concussion. He's pretty sure that's what it is, but he doesn't remember too well where that comes from. Did someone hit him? The first thing he does is rinsing the slime off his face, then starts feeling his head. He feels a large bump on his forehead, almost like a second crest. He cools it with fresh water, but doesn't do much for the headache. Malthus looks at his paws, trying to count his fingers, and concludes that he has several of them. Severe concussion. Wait, my glasses. Maybe it wasn't that severe and he just couldn't see well without his glasses. Malthus starts to crawl around, looking for his glasses in the mud and plants, but finds nothing. With a groan, he raises his head and nearly bumps his nose on them. The glasses were hanging on a bush. They are not even dirtied. He can't remember how they ended up there. Finally putting them on his nose ledge, he looks down at his paws again and now he can see all 8 fingers quite clearly. He seems to be doing relatively well. Except for the fact that he's covered in mud and his most decent skirt is ruined. Malthus wrinkles his nose, but decides to hold on. What even happened? In parallel with the pain growing in his bump, a memory comes. The human female with a huge, curved spear. She looks so harmless though, so curvy, soft, and non-dangerous. Malthus can still recall the human culture course he took. Warm-blooded animals' females were usually calm and much less belligerent than lizards. That data seems to be somewhat at odds with reality. And for that reason, Malthus, while having a respite from immediate danger, decided to try and reflect on this encounter with a warm-blooded female in more detail. She seemed softer and rounder than the angular and muscular warriors. The perspective and lighting must have played tricks on him. Up close, it appeared that even a warm-blooded human female was still larger than him. Malthus groaned as he recalled the thoughts swirling in his head before his introduction to human hospitality. There were no scales at all on the female, and he had no way of knowing what the texture of her hide should be, like frogs or like small ungulates. Why did it have such a strange color? If the lizards looked like leaves, the humans looked more like flowers, white and pink. Malthus rubs his forehead and sighs sadly. He can't remember much about the human social hierarchy, but even he understands that a human female would probably warn her kind. Had the lizard warriors started their advance? Is it the same day he left or the next day? Is it evening or morning? Too many questions, and Malthus can't even get a good sense of where he is. He was too upset to memorize the road properly, and the impact made everything in his head jumbled. He needs to get back to camp and let everyone know that he's been spotted. At the thought of what might await him for such news, Mouses groans. Nevertheless, he rises to his feet. So which way is the camp? In the end, he recalls that he went through the reeds, spreading them apart and sometimes stomping the stalks with his feet in annoyance. So that's his guide. He'll follow the trampled path, and if it turns out to be the wrong one, he'll just come back here. So I bet he's going to follow the trampled path of the Stegosaurus then. Miloslava went to the village with a heavy heart. She had not been here since the morning. She had been in the field, wringing Mirka, collecting herbs for tea and poultices, bathing in the lake and collecting water, and so the day passed. And she had to tell some bogateers or hunters that a lizard was crawling over the lake, but she felt sorry for the puny one. They would beat him with clubs, stab him unarmed with stakes, but she still had to tell them. Deep in thought, she does not immediately notice the noisy group of bogateers with Vidaris and Ratibor at the head. And Dolboslav, her brother-in-law, hangs around with them too. He is not really a bogateer himself. Father Perun is not blessed with intelligence or strength, but still he hangs around with stronger men and tries his best to be a bogateer. Dolboslav always was the kind of person to dive headfirst into any kind of danger or misadventure with wild passion. In a word, a fool. Gay day, sister. Have you seen any lizards? Heard they're running around, causing trouble. Miloslava's heart was relieved. They saw them without her, which means they'll manage on their own. One of them was hanging around the lake, a weak one, so I smacked him with my carrying pole. He slipped somewhere and then he was gone. The bogateers hum in approval. Was he there alone, daughter, or with a party of some kind? Alone, uncle, alone. I guess he got lost. He was a little weak and unarmed. Well, if that's the case, then fine. Let's go on, brothers, to catch more lizards. Go on, uncle. They must be hiding here somewhere. Even as she says that, she notices something. There's something moving in the bushes. That lizard, bruised and with glasses on its nose. Miloslava sighs and shoves Mirka closer to the bushes, so that the bogateers would pass by and not notice the lizard. And that's what happens. Miloslava waits for the bogateers to move further and then signs the lizard to go away while he's still in one piece. And that imp starts waving his arms and twirling his body in response. And clicks something in lizard language, covered in mud and with a massive bump on his forehead. What are you clicking for, snake child? Wasn't getting smacked enough for you? She tries to explain to him that he must go away, but the lizard only widens his eyes and waves his paws more vigorously. Miloslava comes closer, and the lizard gets visibly startled. He gets tangled in his own tail in the bushes and falls. Miloslava feels pity, again. What a useless lizard. She approaches him, just lying there, senseless, with his skinny legs spread apart. Perun's punishment. The heavens have sent such an absurdity. Where should I put you, sickly one? She looks around cautiously and lifts the scrawny lizard to his feet, but he can't stand at all. He wiggles from side to side and just stares in different directions. Every living thing is kind and acceptable to Mokosha, and Madrislav always nursed all kinds of animals. Hang on there, silly thing. I'll put you in the bathhouse. You'll rest for a bit, but then be on your way. Having decided so, she clutched the lizard to her and dragged him under the cover of her faithful Mirka to her cottage in the countryside. A bit earlier. Mouses spends some time wandering around in the reeds. At some point, he realizes it wasn't him who trampled a wide path there. At some point, he turns and almost gets bogged down in a swamp of some kind. Not a pleasant experience. He's trying to stay away from paths in the reeds and the grass. You never know. More of aggressive females could be hiding in there. Or males. It remains to be seen which is worse. Holy mathematics, who even pulled me by the tongue? And Halasi, Quinslow, Nadaski. Anyone could have gone instead of me, but no. Mouses is the smartest. Mouses wants to prove himself. To make Anj notice and appreciate him. Idiot, idiot. What am I, a child who still haven't gotten rid of his gills? What did I accomplish by this? Who is going to notice me now, huh? Predators, scavengers, humans. Grimly bickering with himself, as if characteristic of any true scientist, he follows the tracks of a large animal that he did not notice at the beginning of his journey. He's not really a tracker either, just a regular microbiologist with a couple of additional specializations in related fields. And with most of the local flora and fauna he was, until recently, familiar only through microscope eyes and Mento snapshots. He didn't have the chance for proper encounter yet. How was it? Ikaripakwa, Twa Avasa, Felivins, I come and piss. Ew, what? Why? Sounds about right. Sounds about wrong. Oh, mathematics. I just want to go home. Voices start to get discernible somewhere nearby. Mouses tries to make out the speech of the warm-blooded humans, but his ear canals are buzzing with terror. The humans are just around the corner. Real humans. They could kill him. But before that, they'd probably beat him again. The voices finally recede, and Mouses, creeping rather clumsily through the bushes, peers out, but sees only a side of a large stegosaurus. A riding stegosaurus. His head is a mess. He managed to forget all human words already. Well, he'd have a hard time speaking even his own language right now. Using primitive language based on the first sign system, he tries to explain to the female who beat him that he will not hurt her. She doesn't seem too aggressive, but he can't understand her words. They merge into a noise like splashing water, and his eyes darken in horror. In the end, Mouses stupidly trips over some root and goes flying downward, falling right at the feet of the human female. He hopes his glasses won't break. He's already having a hard time breathing from panic. The warm-blooded one grabs him and tries to do something to him, but all of Mouses' strength goes into keeping his tail from wriggling in terror. He managed to do that by some mathematical miracle, but that miracle runs out, so staying on his feet and conscious doesn't go as well. The last thing he realizes in the sudden darkness is that his muzzle bumped into something soft. Almost like living grass pillows at home, only not as shaggy. And it's warm. So warm that it almost feels like he's safe now. If only his head didn't ache as much. I come and piss. Don't quill me, please. His tongue doesn't quite obey his commands, but he feels like the words are correct at the very least. I mean, sure. I need to get rid of all the mushrooms. Alright, this is gonna be pain. Oh, this one is the worst. Like, it's not that bad, but it is. And And like knocking all this stuff free just frees up more room for mushrooms to fall, but they're not falling very quickly. Then you gotta wait for everything to fall down so you can actually move. Haha, there we go. To take pity on the creature. Did he just talk? I can't leave the sword creature here. Someone will find and finish him off. Come, Merca. Mouses wakes up in an unknown place. It's dark, humid, and pleasantly warm. A little bit too solid, but that's okay. Cautious, he looks around, not risking getting up. Around him is some kind of a room, seemingly made of roughly hewn tree trunks. Wooden benches stand along the walls. On top of them, small vessels of unknown purpose and bundles of some kind of vegetation. A large enclosed hearth with powerful waves of heat coming from it and a huge bed of rocks. Do warm-blooded humans eat rocks? Some of them do. If they're weird. Mouses quietly sits up, holding his forehead. His head still hurts, and everything is blurry. He looks around nervously. Is he without his glasses again? But no, here they are, right next to him. He hurriedly puts them on and looks around again. Ever since he went on to this expedition, he never felt so pleasingly warm anywhere. Expedition. Wait, how long has he been out? How long has he been in here? And where's this here? Are his people even looking for him? Vienti will surely punish him for going missing. Wow, there's a lot of misspelled words in this. Mouse's default. Holy mathematics. I need to get out of here. What is mouse? Huh? He looks around in panic and sees light shining through the gaps in the wall. Surely it must be a door, but such an unfamiliar rectangular shape. On unsteady legs, he creeps to the door and tugs on the rough knob. The door won't budge. Is he locked up? Imprisoned? Is this a prison? Mouses pushes the door in desperation and nearly falls out, right onto the human female. Ich bin Nibite. Warmblood silently pushes him inside and presses a finger to his mouth. The voices of human males can be heard outside. Quiet. Want to be silent? Yes, quiet. Go. Over in the corner. Over there. Mouses, accustomed to obeying females, waddles dejectedly to a corner closer to... Go stay at the corner. You bad lizard. The door closes again, leaving him alone. Why is he here? Is this a prison after all? Is he waiting to be executed? Why are the males outside? What's going on? Mouses tries to sit quietly, but he is so nervous that his tail begins to involuntarily twitch. The voices outside are getting louder and louder. They seem to be arguing about what to do with him. He clutches his tail with his legs and arms, trying to sit quietly, just like the human female told him to. It doesn't seem like any trouble is going to happen to him anytime soon, at least. Nobody tried to kill him just yet, anyway. Suddenly a loud rumbling comes from inside his stomach, and he freezes in horror. That was really loud. Not knowing what to do next, Miloslava just stands in the anteroom, anteroom? If the Bogateers find a lizard here, it's going to be the end of him. And even though she told the lizard to sit there quietly, he keeps fidgeting and making sounds like he's trying to lay an egg or something. Wait, egg. Hey, are you alive in there? Fine, I am fine. Why aren't you opening the door then? The lizards are here. Exactly, that's why I won't open the door. But you can open it to us. We're all your friends here. Miloslava tries to come up with a way to get rid of this annoyance. Soon, another man approaches and she hears his voice. Hey, dunghead. What reason are you trying to get into a woman's bathhouse again? Really? He's trying to get into the bathhouse? Isn't that her stepbrother's? Stepbrother? Like, what is wrong with you, dude? The rest of the Bogateers are in the distance. They're related, right? Freaking, he is a few nuts short of a tree. Discussing strategies and tactics. That is, getting ready in case some strategies jump on them from out the bushes. And what kind of tactics they will bash their heads with. Well, what if the lizards are waiting in ambush there? He's such an idiot. The lizard's ambush is in your pants, fool. I know you. The only thing in your head is thoughts of harassing women. Hey, dear, why don't you come out? It's rude to us warriors, you know? Oh, Uncle Vidaris. I can't. I heard about the lizards and now I am hiding from them in here. The lizard in the bath keeps fidgeting, making all sorts of sounds. Scratches, knocks. Miloslava can only pray to Makash, none of it will be heard. She raises her voice even more to mask the sounds. I'm sorry guys, I can't. I am so frightened. I got skitters. So now I'm sitting here all skittery. The Bogateers, having realized what they are talking about, are cackling. Of course, what kind of woman would want to go out when she is in such trouble? Only Doboslav won't stop knocking on the door. And what's that sound? Doesn't seem very skittery to me. Can you knock on his head? Like knock him out maybe? I've got a baby hatching in my bathhouse. It's probably already hatched. You can hear the winds blowing in its empty belly even out here. It'll get skitters too if you keep shouting and scaring it. Alright sister, you just stay there. We'll scour the neighborhood and come back to you later. But meet us properly when we do. We're getting peckish. Like wolves. Are they insinuating something? Like this is a village where the women have sex with the men they're married to, right? That's what, well, the other maidens had said they save it for the men they're going to marry. So I assume that's what they do. Well, I don't know. Also, I thought she was pregnant because she's lactating. Or not pregnant, but she has a child, so she's lactating. I don't know. It's weird. This game's weird. And a hungry wolf is neither a good protector for women nor a good fighter of lizards. You could do the scouring, and I'll get myself together in the meantime. The Bogateers leave to scour the area. Miloslava angrily mocks them to herself. Wool's my ass. A hungry wolf feeds itself instead of begging women for scraps. She turns to the door and goes back to the lizard in the bath. Why can't you just sit still? If the Bogateers saw him, they wouldn't think twice. Mudroslavs they are not. No interest in foreign living creatures. Only violence is in their heads. She herself, however, must have picked up that curiosity of her late husband. Otherwise, why wouldn't she just knock that lizard out as soon as she saw him? Instead, she dragged him to her home. To try to talk, to try to understand him. What kind of creature is he? Why was he brought into this world? It's a weird question to ask. Why is anyone brought into this world? She needs to quickly come up with a plan. To hide the lizard while also feeding those spongers. And in such a way that nobody would notice any. So are they actually hungry for food? Or are they hungry for, you know, something else? A tricky task. The lizard, meanwhile, suddenly fell quiet. It's better to check on him just in case. Come to think of it, what do them lizards even eat? She walks into the back room, looking pityingly at the lizard, cowering in the corner. Hey, lizard boy, you must be hungry, aren't you? The lizard only sinks deeper into his corner, staring blankly in response with his yellow eyes. Who knows what goes through this lizard head? Even though he seems to understand some human words and can even use a couple of them himself, he is a mystery nonetheless. Food. Hungry. Are you? The lizard moves uncomfortably in the corner and makes some strange hand signs again. Food. Yes. I am food want. Hungry, yes. Miloslava looks at this untold marvel and confusion and tries to figure out what the lizard eats. Is it mosquitoes? Grass? What do you guys even feed on? Not humans, I hope. Show me your teeth. If they are like Merkers, I'd guess you are a herbivore. But if they are sharp and long, then I should probably get you some meat. What should I do? The lizard doesn't understand what Miloslava wants from him. He sinks deeper into the corner, trembling and hissing something all lizard-like. Food. F-O-O-D. Am I want food? I get it. Stop behaving like a baby and show me your teeth. A thought occurs to Miloslava. Could he really be a lizard baby? Maybe that's why he can't properly talk. If so, it's clear. There's a proper way to feed babies. She knows it very well. Half the village takes their babies to her for this. After all, nobody in the village has as huge breasts as hers. Go back to sleep now. The morning is wiser than the night. After covering him with a sheepskin, she retreats from the anteroom. She goes away, thinking, considering. A lot of thoughts go through her mind, but none of them are quite sensible. With the lizard covered in sheepskin, Miloslava threw some wood into the stove and went to make supper. It didn't really matter what to make. Men are simple creatures. If you feed them for free, they'll chomp up just about anything. Nevertheless, Miloslava didn't try to cut any corners here. Nothing fancy, but she made a good meal nonetheless. As she finished, she took a bucket and went back to the bathhouse. Mudroslav, rest his soul, has come up with pretty tricky locks to install at the bathhouse doors. But even so, they wouldn't stop anybody like Dolboslav for one. No matter how tricky the lock is, chopping it down with an axe in the most untricky of ways is still a surefire way to opening it. Everything seems calm in the vicinity, though. Only Bogatir's voices can be heard in the distance as they are approaching. How's it going, sister? Have you calmed down? Sure, uncle, that I did. Come on in now, have a good meal. Vidaris and Dolboslav came in, followed by Drzeperdia, Kulivan, and Pornamisl. Radibor was not with them, and Miloslava was on better terms with him than with anybody else among them. He is a kind fellow, simple, without any nastiness hidden under the surface. The Bogatir sat down and began to eat in the Bogatir way, in complete silence. Thankfully so, as Miloslava was already exhausted from talking to the lizard. She sits resting her cheeks on her hands, watching the men eat. All good men, sure, but nobody quite catches her eye in any way. The Bogatirs chewed everything down in a flash, shook the crumbs out of their beards, and started talking. Oh, men and their love for chatting after the meal. Nice pierogi you have there, dear. Haven't you decided to get married yet? Dolboslav is agreeing in the corner. Kolivan and Pornamisl also seem to listen attentively. Marry? No way. I'm still wearing a white dress in the morning, uncle. Haven't you noticed? Why yes, dear, you haven't changed in weeks. Didn't you have enough? We also grieved for our brother from the bottom of our hearts to the insides of our guts, but we can't grieve for the rest of our lives. He scratches his beard, twisting his lips in a somewhat unpleasant smile. Only Drzeperdia chooses pierogi in silence and keeps a low profile. Probably because nobody likes saying his name. Miloslava frowns but doesn't respond. She keeps hearing this nonsense from men every other day. Well, sister, that's your business. But know that we have quite a few unmarried champions here. Take Dolboslav for one. That man is not getting married anytime soon for sure. Oh, I wonder why that is. But in any case, are you trying to play a matchmaker here, Uncle? You have no sympathy for loners like me, then. I don't. Mudroslav inherited all of your mother's wisdom and took it with himself to the afterlife. Not only you'd always remind me of my grief, but you are also too much of a greenhorn for me, so don't even think about anything. Make a mark on your nose about that, or maybe somewhere else. Kolivan covers his last with his fist. Pornomissile and Derzhapridia poke Dolboslav in the side, and Dolboslav himself frowns. Well, she said her word. By the way, sister, why don't you run a bath for us tired men? She literally just called Dolboslav an idiot. And he's confused. I've got hatchling Saurus in there. He's kind of frail, so I'd rather not disturb it. You want a bath? You have a wife to make one for you. Sharp tongues you have there, sister, but that's alright. Some man will make you kinder one day. Frustration fills Miloslava. She spent her day grieving for her late husband, then this lizard appeared and she had to breastfeed him. And now this matchmaking Saurus scrap is happening too. Maybe some man will, but not Dolboslav. Better a lizard than him. Ouch. Don't be angry, in-law. If you don't want to get married, fine. You could just embrace me like a, non-blood related sister you are. All family-like. No thanks. But I can punch you with a bread shovel. All family-like. Please do. The Bogateers are cackling. They know she can. She used to do just that when she was younger. Only undesired suitors had to lie in bed licking their wounds for a week or two after. You can sleep here if you want, but don't count on anything less. And if anybody tries as much as taking a peek under my skirt, the shovel is always at hand's reach. That's the only deal for you here. The Bogateers didn't complain. They didn't really intend to do anything anyway, being as tired. So they simply lied down and started snoring in a second after. Miloslava tried to sleep too, but couldn't stop fidgeting, thinking. How's that lizard in the bathhouse, she wondered. With Peruskis and Kefir, Miloslava sneaks out of the house. The lizard is clearly mature. He is not a baby, so he must eat adult food too. Milk alone isn't enough. She comes out wearing only her night tie, as she didn't have time to get properly dressed. She gently tugs the lizard. Frightened at first, he quickly calms down as soon as he fully wakes up. They start attempting to have a conversation. Simple words. Food, water, yes and no. They try to explain some words to each other. Miloslava throws wood into the stove. Warmed, the lizard calms down and has an easier time understanding her words. Miloslava is happily explaining that over there is kefir, and those over there are peruskis with meat. These ones are with eggs and onions, and those with mushrooms and carrots. There are also ones with berries. Things seem to be going well. Intercultural communication is going full steam ahead. Take one, lizard. You must be starving. Are we hungry? Hungry. Night, hungry, winter. Very hungry, ice. Even more hungry, can die. No. Ice dying is cold. And eating once is hungry. What kind of food do you have at home? At home? There's food at home. What kind? Eats fish. Eats meat. Eats good food for the woman. Eats the rest of the food for the man. For the woman, a lot and good food. For the man, a little and bad food. Oh, men get treated like shit. A woman eats a lot of food, walks with a spear, is strong evil. A man eats little food, learns words, grows grass, reads book, washes stuff, walks with brood, makes food. How inhumane. Everything backwards you have there, huh? Backward? What words? Backwards. The other way around. Understand. A man reads a book, teaches himself, teaches another. Women teach little, then man teach big. Have you read? Do you need books to read? I do, I have books. My late husband was a great reader. I have many books and notes of all kinds. I have 3 birch barks. Give me a book to read? For Malsus. For me. I will. Your name is Malsus? I'm Miloslava. Miloslava. That a good name be? Nice to say. Easy on the tongue. Tasty for ear. Husband what be? Husband be? My husband be... Ugh, damn it. I'll soon become dumb with you. Your male slave? You've got a mouth on you. Not a slave, a person. A second person. Do things together. Raise children. Family. Family, no. Old word. Sister-brother mating. The way you put it sounds a little wrong, but something like that. I miss him. My Mudroslav is gone. Left me alone. Miloslava sighs heavily, remembering Mudroslav, and gets up to collect the empty saucers and lids. Much strong ask, not the same men. I want to live, much strong. Mouses must leave. Where are you going to go at night, you four-eyed fool? Stay here till morning, then we'll see. Miloslava runs out of the bathhouse, still in heart, and thinks, really, maybe give the creature to the bogateers and Peru and be with them. But it would be a pity to doom the guy to certain death. The morning is wiser than the evening. Maybe he'll figure something out during the night, under lock and key. For half a night, Malsus was tormented by guilt and endlessly recalled everything he knew about the human language to explain that he had been the victim of a profound misunderstanding. He worried so much that he nearly regurgitated all the food he managed to swallow while a female was kind to him. Then he did manage to fall asleep. In the morning, awakened by the trumpeting cries of human males, he huddles in terror under wooden rectangles for sleep and waits for death. But the voices subside after more loud noises, and there is no death. He calms down a bit and takes to thinking. The female, Miloslava, was feeding him and talking about mating. At home, in Atlantis, that would have meant she was ready to take him for herself. But humans had customs backwards, and he had certainly made the worst of it. Backwards. Knowledge of warm-blooded language, once picked up in a special course long ago, is slowly awakening in him. At the cost of incredible effort, Malsus even managed to partially remember what Slavs do with verbs, something unnatural and insane. Just in case, he decides to use less the words that change themselves. Hearing footsteps that he has already learned to recognize, Malsus crawls up from under the sleeping rectangle with a sorrowful whistle and freezes in the corner and imposes a meek deference. You're awake, weasel? Are you hungry again? The female, Miloslava, places a dish of some food in front of him. It seems the stones in this room were not meant for eating, and scrutinizes him, seemingly wary. Food mean gratitude. Guilty confession. Offering food, a call to copulation in the house, at Mouse's home, an old custom, a lament of misunderstanding. That's how it is. That's how you get married there. Oh, what a bunch of weirdos. Come on, eat it. Just food to eat, understand? Consent is an apology, just food, no mating. Oddly enough, it makes him a little upset. Malsus finds himself unexpectedly attracted to a warm-blooded female with a pleasant name. If she were one of the warriors, he probably wouldn't mind living in her quarters. She had wonderful food and shared it without stinginess. Strong enough, but not aggressive enough to fear for his life around her. A luxury and good fortune, unheard of for any male. Alright, bridegroom. Eat up and don't worry. I'm going to start the furnace. You need to bathe. Warm, bath, washing. Washing is joyful assent, sadness of being dirty, self-disgust, the necessity of water. That's right, scaly one. You got dirty yesterday, alright, but that's okay. We'll wash it off somehow. Miloslava. She turns to him, waiting for him to continue, and Malsus leans into an angle of respectful apology. Great embarrassment, lack of other clothes. It's alright, Masloss? I'll find you a skirt. I'll have to girdle it up and tuck it up, but don't worry. She leaves, seemingly to provide Malsus with new clothes. Such altruism seems strange coming from a female, but he rather likes it. If it were one of the junior warriors, the only thing he could count on was a duty clump of seaweed and a night spent tied between the copulatory pegs in the tent. A piece of Miloslava's clothing has been left on one of the sleeping rectangles, and Mouses picks it up carefully. The soft cloth is pleasant to the touch and holds an unfamiliar scent. He's pretty sure there are mating call pheromones in its chemical makeup, otherwise his body wouldn't react. Mouses brings the cloth closer to his breathing slits, tastes it with his tongue. This must be it, because pretty soon he reacts again. Humans are always ready to mate, but they probably do it some other way. Better not to ask about it though, unless he wants a repeat of the incident yesterday. But as long as Miloslava isn't here, he can quickly shake off the awkward excitement. The wooden room is getting warmer and warmer, and the warmth rushes the blood through his body. Mouses walks over to the ablution basin and hastily scrubs the most unpleasantly stained areas. The pleasant warmth only makes the need to mate stronger, even though the ablution water is cool. Sadly wrestling his scales, Mouses rubs his lymph-filled copulatory organ. Miloslava enters the anteroom. Miloslava decides to watch. Alright. I mean, either one of these is good. I guess we could try to break the ice. But like I said, either one's pretty good. I really want these two to like come down on each other, but I don't think they will. I'd say we're going for break the ice. I mean, we already had the Miloslava decides to watch, but at this rate, let's just break the ice. Miloslava enters the anteroom. Miloslava enters the anteroom with a pile of towels and an old small skirt, and from behind the ajar door to the steam room, she sees... oh, what's going on? Mouses sits on one of the wooden structures. Now he knows it's called a bench, and that you can do more than just sleep or sit on it. He generally feels himself now permeated with secret knowledge to the very base of his SFW, which in human language is seen to be translated as soul. The very thought of fighting these warm and soft creatures seems sacrilegious to him now. Kill, in the name of mathematics and the first egg. Now it seems to him a particularly heinous and mindless evil. It is unthinkable to kill those who can give them such knowledge, to shake them to their very SFW. No female of his species had chosen him yet. He finds it fortunate now. He had heard many unpleasant things from other males. Things that aggressive females can do. None of his acquaintances had ever experienced what was called emboque, a feeling that could put both their copulatory organs on alert at the same time. The combination of pheromones, pleasure, and a sense of security is a rare thing in coitus with today's females. Not all males survive. He definitely needs to think about all of this. The excitement of thinking about the emboque is making it hard to focus on more pressing issues. Desire is the end of war. Yeah, well, there's no other way. The women of your kind burned down half the village. Thanks Perun they didn't get to Lyubava's house. Courtesy, interest. Lubava? My friend. She takes care of my Lupeshka when I can't. And then we switch. But I can't figure out what to do with your mad women. It's a miracle made by Prune that they didn't kill anyone. Mouses shakes its head, expressing agreement in a human way. The incredible progress in its linguistic exercises can only be explained by a stimulating surge of hormones. Never before had he felt so important and necessary in the world, so involved in the universal SFW. Confidence, affirmation, war, we need to stop the war. Copulate together, greatness, fusion, the soul of all things. That's a good point, Scaly. I'm not sure if it's possible, though. The conversation of all, denial. Females, weapons rage. Bad at listening, females. Our men will not really listen to me either. They'd rather settle their differences on the battlefield. Creature, who can tell us what to do? I'm not much of a scholar myself. The only thing to do is to go to the witches of Zakalichiki, 3,000 miles away, and maybe they'll give me some advice. They'll marvel at you, how peaceful you are. Can't take Lupeshku with me, he's too young, but I must go anyway. Will you come with me, Lizard? Mouses covers his eyes slightly and thinks about the question. The human female Miloslava offered him the best food, allowed him into her home, hammam, something that had never happened to him in Atlantis, dressed him in fine soft cloth, showed him that copulation with a female could be so beautiful. Milos shakes his head again in agreement. He hadn't seen an ounce of evil from Miloslava, so why shouldn't he go where she asks? This seems like an important case. To the witches, like you, not weapons violence? No, they're peaceful. Compared to them, I'm like an angry beast. Consent, then. The next morning, they set off on Mirka's back to the witches and Zakalichiki, 300 miles away. It's not a long way, but Mirka's not a particularly fast and reasonable creature. Miloslava was afraid to leave her son alone, but by that time the lizards had already run away and left the village burnt. She had to go all the same, otherwise there'd be no end to raids and murder. Miloslava led Mirka out the hidden path. Mouse is sitting behind her, pensive after going through so much guidance. The lizard camp was ahead. Birds are chirping and bees are buzzing as usual, but also, from a distance, they can spot smokes rising above the baths, astral saucers flying around. Before reaching the camp, they stop and have a look from the hillside to see what kind of snake-like activities were going on over there and why. It's Viente, dominant, the leader here. Is that the one with the cap? No, the tied one. Is she always leading you while tied up? Denial. Something is wrong. Oh, look. Isn't that Redibor also tied up beside her? Who's that legless lady in the hat? Tss, tss, tss. Ella Kinshi. Dislike and condemnation. Miloslava already got used to his speech pattern, so she quickly understood what he meant. He wanted to say that snake was a nasty wench. Oh, why is Redibor drooling? Oh, why are they kicking him and whipping him with tails? How dare they torture dear Redibor? Mirka, let's go and show them. Unsheathing her rake, she holds onto Mirka's harness. Miloslava's Slavic blood starts boiling and she rushes to attack. Mouses only sobs in horror and clings to her sundress from the back so tightly that her breasts are almost tearing themselves out. Almost like they are ready to attack as well. Miloslava swings a rake back and forth. The lizards and snakes fly away, and then Mirka throws them further with her tail. Go, Mirka, chew them real good, my dear. The bushes are crackling and the lizards tremble, frightened to death, and the bell in Mirka's chest is ringing furiously. The ground shakes. The warrior lizard women fly away, jerking their legs in flight, and snakes, for lack of legs, jerking their tails and breasts. And from the far side of the field, the Nyaz's troop is already approaching with music and different speeches. Alakinchi, having received a hit with a poker on the head, crawled away, and the faithful Mirka, having taken the bound Cantus in her teeth, waved away the enemies with her tail and howled. Necessity, move aside. He's shaking all over, but there's a hardness in his voice. He's grown a little manlier after the witch's guidance. And Miloslava herself became a little more competent. She understands that it's a bad idea to end up between the two armies. It's better to hide and think of some kind of strategy somewhere in the bushes. She needs to send Radibor and his lizard companion on a quest to lurk Marie. It seems that it's what the witches directed them to do, and if they directed them that way, then so be it. They're never wrong about these things. Miloslava drives Mirka into the bushes and pats her neck with a poker to make her spit out the prisoners. Alright, then we got to this point. So there's only one section left to do, and that's this one. Alright. It was a good game. There was a lot of spelling mistakes, good lord. And the names were terrible, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.